Hello and welcome everybody back once again to the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by MOZA. We are here for the Watkins 90 on this occasion. I am Mike Noss, joined alongside none other than the Jackson Lambros. Jackson, how are we doing on this lovely Saturday?
The vibes are immaculate here, Mike. 90 minutes of classic road racing here at the iconic Watkins Glen International, the long circuit for GT3 racing alongside the legendary 6 hours of the Glen going on this weekend. Cannot think of a better place to find the finest in this nation.
Absolutely. This is going to be an absolute corker of an event. We got 90 minutes on the clock here today for the drivers to battle it out for a couple prizes. The winner, of course, winning a wheel, and of course we are also going to be doing a random drawing as well at the end of the stream for any of the participants that took part in this race for a MOZA KS. On that, we're going to play a quick little video just to show you what you could possibly win. Now that is, of course, what you can get, the MOZA KS wheel, and we're going to be random drawing that here tonight. But, of course, folks, that's in the future. I just want to take a big moment here to warm welcome everybody that's joining us. I hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Of course, a massive thank you as well to our community partner, Trackalicious, and everybody that makes these events possible, MOZA included. We get to head over tonight to Watkins Glen, folks. 3.4 miles or 5.5 kilometers of action. And yes, it is the boot and shoot layout. 11 corners, 6 to the left, 5 to the right with 42 meters of elevation. And Jackson, we know that on this track, overtaking, it can be quite difficult. So this might be one of the most important qualifyings of some of these drivers' lives.
The birthplace of American road racing, home to the American Grand Prix, and now it is the home of the NASCAR Cup Series and IMSA. And we talk about that overtaking opportunity, one of the highest average speed circuits on the IMSA calendar. So really not a lot of opportunities to really jam it on the brakes and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. You got to carry momentum everywhere you can here.
Absolutely. And as well, before we get into it as well, I just want to take a quick little moment because I have this lovely background behind me. I want to thank Camber and Caster for hosting me here tonight. We got some drivers from Camber and Caster taking part in this event, so shout out to them for providing a nice space for me to commentate in with all this lovely lighting as well. But folks, qualifying is going to be underway very, very shortly. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the future of the Team USA Talent Scout event and what is in the future for that. Well, I'm glad you asked because the next race that we have is going to be on August 30th for F4s at the Portland International Speedway, a track that's basically my local track. Bristol Under the Lights will be after that in the NASCAR. That's going to be September 20th. Road Atlanta on October 11th. We go back to the GT3 cars on that occasion. And then last but certainly not least, the Laguna 45 on December 6th in the Toyota GR86s. It's a jam-packed event calendar with plenty of opportunities to come. But again, that's in the future, folks. We got to talk about the present and the past. Why don't we mention that here for a second? Of course, let's take a look back to Indy when we had our Indy 250. Ricky Paz took the victory over Jordan Johnson, and then Stanislav Boldyrev finishing in third. So those are some heavy-hitting names out there that we expect to do decent tonight. But of course, that was the Indies in the IndyCar. This, being GT3s at Watkins Glen, Jackson, is a little bit different.
No, we talk about a lot of the CIL guys, Ricky Paz and others, able to kind of flex that muscle with their time in the IR18, and that's not something that they're really used to, making that move over to the sports cars. They've, but much like a majority of the iRacing community, adapt for some of the Michelin endurance rounds, such as Daytona, Sebring, now Watkins Glen. But it's been a big learning curve for a lot of these guys getting in something lighter, and a lot of ex-stock car guys now having to get used to something to a lot more downforce, a little bit louder. A lot of these guys having to meet in the middle here in terms of performance.
Yeah, and these cars are absolute beasts. We'll see when we get into there. There's quite a few McLarens that were chosen, being one of the more popular cars out in iRacing. And the current BOP, which has been recently changed, we have a brand new tire model to take part in. So that is going to be up in the air. That's for anyone wondering why we didn't do a BOP on this race, is because the tire model was so new. I figured we wouldn't go about it. So we'll see in the next one if that is going to be the case. But here we go, folks. I think it's enough time for blabbering. Let's go down to the circuit here. And as we hop on board with Xander Reed for the first lap here of the Watkins 90, we get ready to go. This is what it looks like on board with Xander Reed as we head down to the first braking zone into the 90. After this, the S's comes up, and it comes up quick. It's a flat out, basically full push on the way up the hill here. Zero lift whatsoever in these cars. The car wants to understeer out, but you will not let it. Now, nice and flat out. You get time to think. You get time to check your dials, check your map, talk to your race engineer, or whatever you need to do at this point, because get ready, folks. You got to stomp on the brakes down into the inner loop. Don't go for an overtake here, or that's going to be the end of your race more than likely. Nice and easy, though, through the outer loop. Get nice and tight on the apex, Jackson, and continue your way down to the boot and shoot.
Not taking a shortcut here like the NASCAR guys. We're going all the way around. This is the boot, long left-hander, carousel-esque, using all of that gravity and camber to our advantage. Now we're in the shoe section. Here we go towards the toe, back up the hill, right-hander, a little bit of a later apex here for Xander Reed. He's using that camber to kind of use that exit as a launch pad. Over the crest, hard to call it kind of a blind corner here, but it's going to be big pressure here on these tires, as that will be working against them through turn 8, the heel. Big outside curbing you can use to your advantage here. The Cup guys love to do that here in the fall as we rejoin the Cup car circuit out of turn 9.
Now, nice and easy for the rest of this lap. Just tilt the car into the apex, very smooth, run it out wide, and then get ready for the final corner. There's the pit lane as well. I hope these drivers have practiced their pit entries on top of the final lap here, or the first lap that we're going to be seeing as Xander Reed crosses the line and is going to be our first driver to set a provisional time. Where is that going to stack up? Well, we'll find out as we go.
Ricky Pat second on the board. Now comes Johnson, the first Macca, just gets under 2/10 ahead. Very, very papaya heavy field tonight. And again, we talked about that balance of performance favoring the McLaren just a little bit. Mustangs, a very big piece of that pie chart as well. And we're in that early phase of qualifying, Mike, where we're trying to get these guys in for their banker laps. Play it safe, find a good real estate where you can just have clean air and set a solid lap. Last 5 minutes are where we really hunt for those purple sectors and maybe risk the track limits.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of course, that we want to see these drivers keeping it between the mayo and the mustard. It's of crucial importance. And as one of my buddies, Paul Jeffrey, would say, your banker lap is the most important lap that you could possibly have on the track. It's not your final lap, but it's the first deciding factor of what's going to come. And looking at Xander Reed compared to Jordan Johnson at this current moment, well, 2/10, folks, that's a blink of an eye, in case anybody was curious. It sounds like an eternity, but my goodness, how tight it can be. And currently Lurik there down into third position. We have Hugh in fourth right now, 2.6 seconds off the pace, and everybody else sort of slotting into that 1 to 2 seconds off the pace mark right now. But again, these just being the banker laps, Jackson, there's still 10 minutes left in quali. We can see these times improve.
Adrian looking for improvement right now as he's trying to work around one of the Mercedes right now. Big wiggle there from, I believe, still there, or excuse me, no, Brown, as he finally has a little bit more clean air, but it's Kyle Lowe. Up the road is now Xander Reed sets the tone with a 1:43. Junior Johnson responds 43.229. Starting to see the wick turned up here 5 minutes in.
Indeed, indeed, and 1.126, 0.163. Also, I want to take a little moment here to mention the fact that we are currently live on eClutch. So massive shout out to our partners over at eClutch on TV in the Europes and in other countries as well. Massive thank you to you guys for putting this on, and I hope that everybody is having a great, lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world, because it's a bold world here tonight, and we got a lot of viewers. We love to see it. Big thank you to everybody also joining us in the Twitch chat. We see you, we hear your love, and we want to hear more of it. Let us know who you're cheering on out there. Is it going to be Jordan Johnson? Is it going to be Janny, who's currently looking quite competitive in their time? Hugh, also in their Puebla, now setting a lap just 1.6 seconds off the good with a 1:44.0, and times still rapidly improving.
Watch what Kyle Lowe can do, one of the lone Acuras in the field, still looking for a little bit of pace right now in the NSX, 2 seconds off, but hasn't really had the clean air to do it. But massive, massive ditto to Mike. Huge thanks to everybody for turning out here and spending your Saturday night, Sunday morning, wherever you might be. We've got some classic Euro-style road racing coming your way, and phone a friend. It's going to be good. When we say it's America's finest, we really, really do mean it. Xander Reed out of the final corner to the line. What does he have? He's driving like he's at the absolute limit. Comes to the stripe. What's it going to be?
Looks like we're going to have no improvement on this occasion. Going to have to re-rack him and restack him back into pit lane for a couple setup changes, lower the fuel load, and maybe increase the pressures just slightly. Again, get one good lap. That's all you're trying to do. Get the pressures up to a moment that you can manage, and then get everything to the point where you can control it. Looking at the timing charts, the top 10 getting ever closer. We see especially down towards the mid-packs right now with Brown, Clark, Anderson, all within near biting distance of each other. Heck, near identical times being set. And I often like to say, over the course of a few miles, and in this case, 3.4 miles or 5.5 kilometers, being nearly dead even on time is truly incredible.
Over to the 95, it's the Haitian sensation, Lewis Holloway, who's getting that WD-40 machine into the third sector. We talked about Camber and Castor earlier. Holloway flying the colors in that 720S. Out of the final corner right now. This will be his first green flagger, at pace lap.
Also had the pleasure of meeting Lewis Holloway just the other day. In fact, really great guy, to be completely honest, and a really quick one as well. There he goes up in his 17th position, a great improvement. I also see that Jesse Lovren is in this room as well, and when I say in this room, I mean quite literally is below me as we speak, on track out here at Camber and Castor, riding out there, so a great livery to be seen there, and of course our friends over at Camber and Castor, big shout out to them. Head on down if you are down, of course, in that Southern California area near San Diego. It's worth a check out. Back to the topic at hand, though. This is Lowe, Kyle Lowe, in fact, out on track right now, and it looks like he is on a flying lap in a brilliant, bright white and high visibility green with the Team USA logo on it. Look at this.
Bay Area born, former HPD, I guess now HRC US Academy driver, didn't get into racing until high school when his high school actually had a karting program in PE, ended up mopping the floor so hard that his principal gave him a contract to go and start karting, and hasn't unfortunately been able to fully live that out due to personal health reasons and whatnot, but has continued to flex that muscle here in the virtual world.
Also choosing the Honda NSX or the Acura NSX, depending on what part of the world that you are from. One of my favorite cars, to be honest, in this server right now. No biases, of course, but I gotta say, seeing the Acura out there, again, a car that has a mid-engine 2.4-liter V6 with a big old turbo attached to it. It is a monster, and I guess this is the ARX 06 GTP or whatever you want to call it. Or no, this isn't the GTP. What am I talking about? This is not. Either way, this is the wrong notes. Wrong notes is, of course, the Acura is in multiple racing specs and racing series, but this one is not the one that I just mentioned.
Eric Helsband, top Mercedes for the time being, weaving back and forth, trying to get heat into those tires. We talk about the big changes with the GT3 tire model this year, or this season, Mike. It's the tire blankets having a significant drop, and you know, we already look at some of the top split replays. We've got guys losing control on the warm-up laps, even on the opening corners, and it's just they're not used to starting off with the tires at this low of a pressure, at this low of a temp, and that's a big, big mental block that a lot of these guys have had to adapt to.
Yeah, it certainly is. These tires are stone cold for the first pretty much one, maybe even two laps. And I've heard that it is a nightmare to drive if you aren't careful. It's a tiptoe at the best of times when it comes to your first flyer. And just trying to keep it under control. You're sliding around like a dog on a freshly finished hardwood floor for a good few minutes. And it's really about managing that and keeping it in check. Here we see, though, the exact example of what I'm talking about as Corey Clark goes for a little bit of a spin. Just Porsche things, of course, there with the rear end overtaking the front.
Haven't seen a lot of Corvettes tonight. Here is one of them. Argelis Mieja in the 69 machine. Flat plane crank V8 soundtrack heading into turn number 1. Proudly repping MOZA Racing. And again, using all of that curbing on the outside of turn 1, the 90, as they call it here in the Finger Lakes.
And speaking of MOZA, folks, if you are looking to pick up some MOZA product yourself, you can type !MOZA in the Twitch chat to find yourself with a link over to their website with an affiliate code. Highly recommend checking that out. Their products is amazing. Also, if you're looking for signups, head on over to initesports.gg/carsim for more information on signups. You can still sign up for future races. Let me explain this a little bit more. Well, you know what? I'll wait till qualifying's over and then I'll explain it a little bit more. So for now, we'll keep an eye as Jordan Johnson has been insurmountable so far, and really nobody is able to best his time. But one thing I'm noticing here, Jackson, is that Janny and Reed, they're ever getting closer, just chipping away at those times.
Second improvement there from Kyle Lowe. That'll promote him over Turner to the front row. Good stuff from Janny, as still Johnson remains untouchable. But the 999 Mustang trying to leapfrog Johnson. He wants the inside of that front row. He launches out of the final corner. If he comes to the stripe here with enough pace, he will start. At the best, still not enough. It's a 143.447. So minimal gains there, as now Johnson with a little bit more time added to his personal best. And Xander Reed, who's potentially looking for the pace right now, is in a furball. And as we get to crunch time here in qualifying, this is not what you want.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's going to be a little bit of a slingshot for him, but not the type of slingshot that he wanted because he's getting thrown right into the back end of another one of the Porsches. They get out of the way, but this lap for Xander Reed is absolutely just going to be abandoned at this point. And, well, we're getting down to the wire in qualifying here. We have one lap left to go for most when that checkered flag does come out. Of course, any driver that was previously on a lap will be allowed to finish it, but no driver will be allowed to start one after it begins.
Pueblo with another flyer. He'll leapfrog Kyle Lowe as those two continue to go back and forth. Less than a half a tenth of a second right now, separating fourth and fifth. Eric Hellsbond working back onto the NASCAR section of the track. In eighth, looking for more right now as everybody is closing in on Jordan Johnson right now, but he is still untouchable right now in that McLaren.
Yeah, he really is doing an incredible job controlling that car, and I'm seeing some improvements from the mid-pack as well. I wanted to shout out there Lewis as well, the that incredible nickname that you came up with, I have to say. But Lewis currently up into 13th position, so nearly getting into the top 10. We also see him currently surrounded by Lurick, Holloway, Stringer, and a few others in that time frame, but a lot of them have parked it for qualifying and are going to say, well, it's the best I can do. And one thing we know, Jackson, as the track continues to get more and more rubber thrown down on it, the lap times, in theory, will increase, just like Janny did, but only 0.016 away. That was their best effort that they could muster. They're back into pit lane and 16 ten-thousandths off of pole.
Yeah, and we're going to see that track evolution much more in the macro here once we get to 90 minutes of action. Still plenty of time here, or plenty of laps before we determine the grid. Jacob Magnowski, what have you got? He's got to go to the middle of the track and coexist with that Mercedes. He might have a little bit of extra pace. He improves to 8th. So McLaren absolutely dominating over half of the sharp end of the field right now, repping Papaya. Over to Sean Roberts in 11th, trying to get another Dark Horse GTD. He's one of the further back guys now as he just heads down the long sweeping left-hander of the boot. Currently just back and forth with his Delta. Going to be interesting to see if he's able to get any improvement here, potentially knock out Hugh and others and get into the top 10.
Yeah, Sean's been putting in a lot of practice for this race. You see his live streams popping up from time to time, Mr. Sean Roberts. And now, this is what all the practice has amounted to. It's currently P11, but what do we have left in the tank? Hopefully not much fuel. The less fuel you have, of course, the less weight, and that's going to allow you to carry all that speed. Through the final sector we go and on to the final few corners. Do we see an improvement here? We'll find out shortly, but I also wanted to mention, speaking of streamers, Michael Piecko, currently, who we saw get overtaken by Jacob Begnowski, he is, of course, a streamer as well. That's This Dad's Bad over on Twitch. Highly recommend checking him out as well. And Sean Roberts carries the momentum through the final corner, but only just a little bit more than he would like. Clips the wall of champions, and I don't think that's going to be the last time we see that tonight.
The good news is, though, we've still got plenty of racing ahead of us. I think he wishes he might be a little bit closer to the sharp end of the field. We know how chaotic the mid-pack can be here at Watkins Glen, especially at the start of these races. But, I mean, still plenty of racing to go ahead of us, and this is the time to really get your head down and move forward. We've got a lot of different options here for strategy, and again, these guys are going to act like this is a sprint race, but you've got to have that endurance racing kind of mentality of how do I coexist with these guys on track? Not necessarily teamwork, but working with one another to close gaps, to battle ethically with one another, keep the carbon fiber on it, keep it in one piece, and make it to the checkered flag 90 minutes after.
There's a lot of talent on this grid here tonight, and that's not going to go unnoticed, folks. And one thing what happens when you get a lot of talent on the same grid, can boil over sometimes. But we hope we don't see that here tonight, of course. I know all these drivers have been practicing hand over fist for this event, and everybody wants to succeed. Everybody wants to show what they're here for. And to be honest, I haven't really explained that much. So that's what I was saving this little time for, is to explain exactly what is going on with the Team USA Talent Scout event. The whole goal, of course, this is not just one race and you qualify and you're in. No, it is amount of the entire championship, or I guess entire set of races, you might say, not championship, but basically In order to qualify, you have to show up, show your muster, prove that you have the talent, prove that you have the mental fortitude, prove that you have the strength in not just one race, not two races, but amongst a whole list of races and amongst a list of different cars and championships and trials and various different tracks as well, and trying to prove I am the best sim racer around. That's the whole goal, right? If we're going to be going to the Olympics in Riyadh, well, we need the best of the best, right? So that's going to be how we figure that out. Again, it's not just a one-shot qualifier for this. It is about the entire championship, and it's such a cool event as well. The drivers taking it extremely seriously, as they should, and this is going to be, Jackson, maybe one of the most exciting races, sim races at least, of the year.
Got two black belt world champion level drivers here, Michael Janney and the Skip Barber F4s, who's no stranger to open wheelers. We saw that muscle flexed just a couple weeks ago at Indianapolis. Xander Reed is very much at home right now in this GT3 tin top machinery, active in the Tag Heuer Porsche Cup. So very, very similar machinery to what he's used to at the top flight of sim racing. But again, we want to talk about closeness of field here. These aren't the exact same cars as, again, the beauty of GT3. If it rolls off the showroom, you can put aero on it. It's eligible to go race at some of the biggest events in the world. But again, you have weight ballasts, engine restrictors, and so much more so that any OEM, in theory, can go and join. And iRacing has done a fantastic job of emulating that level of competition. I think driver favorites are definitely coming into play, and that's why we're seeing so many 720s at the front of the field. But you still see some really, really fast guys from a lot of other OEMs. Eric Helsband in the Mercedes, Kyle Lowe in the NSX. You've got all the Mustangs, Janney, Reed, Roberts, and then a Porsche and Courier Clark. A great mix of stories, a great mix of manufacturers here.
Yeah, and the lone, or I was going to say lone, we got a couple BMWs in here as well. So love to see the M4s taking to the track as well. Seeing the whole wide range of manufacturers, teams, drivers, as well as different ages as well. We have some young, we have some older, and we have some Mike Piecco, his son as well, is in this race. So that's super cool to see. It's a whole family affair for some. And how else would you want to celebrate? And imagine that conversation at the dinner table when all is said and done, a hard night of racing of the Team USA Talent Scout event, and you go and you have to sit down with each other across the screen and realize that probably a little warm, fuzzy feeling inside, especially if you're Mike, where, you know, it's going to be his son, of course. So I bet that's a really, really welcoming environment, and honestly, it makes me smile just thinking about it.
You come from the ACC side, like myself here, and we talk about how much a family affair has been in some of the top leagues over there, whether it's father, son, brother to brother. And I ask what that dynamic is like. And the answer from a lot of them is just there's no teammate like a family member. The ability to push off of one another and kind of strive to be not just the better family member, but have that support around you, someone you can constantly bounce ideas, whether it's, you know, optimizing lines, setups, different things like that. You share so much of your brainwaves with that other individual. It's very, very cool to see that kind of dynamic. We don't really see that too much in modern motorsports. Obviously, the Andretti's and the Hamilton brothers to an extent, but sim racing is really where we get to see that now, and I just think it's incredible.
It is such a cool feeling, like I say. And again, I bet Mike is absolutely thrilled. Mike Piecco, of course, This Dad's Bad over on Twitch if you guys are curious. Sean Roberts as well, another one of the streamers. And of course, there are so many streamers. You can head on over to the Init Discord. If you type !Discord, you can find a link to the Init Esports server where you can find everything Init related and some self-promotion channels, which I know a lot of these guys have posted. And of course, pop that up alongside this main stream as well. And you can watch your favorite streamers as they're racing and being commentated on by Jackson Lambros and myself, Mike Noss. And of course, massive thank you as well to our production team, AK Esports, and Tom Bryant, who is behind the scenes making all of this lovely production magic happen and making sure that this show is on the road. And again, massive shout out to MOZA, of course, for providing the sponsorship as well as all the prizes and everything regarding this championship. And of course, to eClutch, one of our massive friends over there we're hosted on their platform. So thank you so much out to Esports and our community partners, Trackalicious. Big shout out to you, Eric. And of course, the whole community over there. Head on over to Trackalicious. You can find a link to their Discord, which I should probably throw in the chat. Eric, if you are watching the game, we'll post it. That's my bad. I'll grab it, and I'll post it in the chat.
Scott Fad's quality chat.
Yes. But of course, the race getting ready to get underway. This is the calm before the storm, and this is where the drivers' nerves are going to be at their all-time high. This is where you have to sit down and wait. You get your hands, they start shaking a little bit. You don't know what the grid is going to be like. A lot of these drivers have never raced together. Yes, some of them have, but some of them have not. And so once they get out onto track, yes, they've done qualifying. Yes, they've seen each other a little bit. But this is where they're going to find out what is going to happen for the first time. We just have a little bit of a warm-up session, about 4 more minutes before we do jump into the gridding, just giving the drivers a moment to go and, again, calm those nerves, get ready to go, and also just put in those final few sighting laps here at Watkins, which can be very crucial.
I will say, Mike, there is something to be said about the closeness of community that we have, especially at the higher levels of skill and competition here. Where sure, maybe you don't have a personal relation with guys in the same split as you, but as you kind of reach that upper echelon of talent and pace, the field narrows down. And even though whether it's, you know, a Sunday top level split or just a quick drive league, this is something that these guys are used to driving alongside each other. These guys, whether they've met here or not, have usually a pretty good idea of, you know, how these guys are on track, how they interact in terms of offense and defense, and how they interact as lap traffic, or if they're trying to get by someone. So that, I think, is another really cool aspect of how sim racing works here at the top esports level, because yes, these might not be people you see face to face, but they're certainly not strangers here.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you talk about people like Michael Janney, of course, from the Apex Racing team, currently sitting at a casual 9,658 I rating.
Is that good?
Pretty average is what I would say. Yes, that's very good. It's almost the 10K club. Yeah, very few drivers are in that 10K club, and of course, just Michael Janney just off the mark of that. Not to mention the fact Xander Reed, of course, also 9,000 I rating, which again, just casually 9,000. No, a very, very talented field here. Jordan Johnson at 8,200, and then so much more talent to talk about as well through this grid. And it really is a jam-packed grid. We have, how many drivers is this currently? Nearly 33, 34 drivers out on track currently, all taking part in this, down to the pretty much a whole wide range of talents, as well as that's the whole goal, of course, of the Talent Scout event, is to, yes, you guessed it, scout for some talent.
We've got, as mentioned earlier, 2 black belts here, but a good amount of rookies here in the tail end of the field, sub 1,500 I rating. We see Michael Ray Gallen with 1029 right now. So the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows right now being represented. And a couple of underdogs here. We look at Jacob Magnowski, who's under the B category. And I mean, it's hard for me to say that's an underdog when that's still higher than a lot of us here in the production room. But again, to be in the top 5 with that level of clout to you is absolutely nothing to scoff at. But again, very, very big mix. With over 30 cars here on track, though, you've got to ask, and that's not to say we're hoping for this, but how chaotic, one, this opening lap is going to be, and what is lap traffic going to be like? It's not going to take long with this range of skill for us to watch the field kind of wrap around itself. So that's a big, big level of aspect, a big level we're going to have to talk about here in how these are going to interact with one another.
Absolutely. And, you know, we also talk about I rating as a number, right? And, well, yes, the 10K club means that you're good. Well, let's take a look at our previous race winner here in the Indy, or from the Indy 250, Mr. Ricky Paz. He's currently sitting at 1,600 I rating. So basically what I'm telling you is that it doesn't really matter. Ricky Paz, an extremely talented IndyCar driver, of course. He participated in many events, and he is very much, again, not necessarily an iRacing driver, which means that his I rating is lower. So a lot of these drivers, while they might have extreme talents in one sim, which translates over to iRacing as well, of course, it's not quite the same amount of time invested in it, as it takes a lot of time and a lot of races to get up to that 10K mark. You have to put in the work to do so. And speaking of the work, folks, it's almost that time. We're going to get down to the grid here very, very shortly. The warm-up just going to be wrapping up. People getting their final sighting laps in. I can hear Jesse's sim below me. Jesse Lover in here from Camber and Castor. He's down below me putting in his final laps, trying to get every 10,000th he can find when it comes to the lap time. It's going to matter. We always talk about it. Tenths, you know, you find 1/10 here, you find 1/10 here. Tenths add up into seconds, seconds add up into minutes, and minutes add up into race wins. So it's all about finding those little micro objectives and just gaining that slight little advantage as you can.
No, absolutely. And again, we talk about this endurance racing mentality. It's going to go by very, very quickly. Your starting grid then, Jordan Johnson alongside Michael Janney, Xander Reed, Eric Hallsband, Adrian Puebla, Kyle Lowe, Bronnon Turner, Jacob Bagnowski, Pieco, and Hugh making out your top 10.
And then down to 11, Sean Roberts taking home P11 just outside of your top 10 with Corey Clark. Down in 12th, Mark Lurick. In 13th with Lewis Holloway alongside for 14th on the 7 row. Morgan Stringer in 15th in row 8 with Steven Anderson alongside Aaron Brown. Down in 17th position with Zachary Flats in 18th, 19th belonging to Joe Harkness, and 20th to Ricky Paz.
Starting to get to the back half of the grid here. Laverin, Stoll, then it's Dick alongside Martinsky. Michael Ray Gallen in 25th. He'll be alongside Edward Sanchez. Jason Wallet, CIL driver, will be alongside Angelos Mejia for Drexel. Josh Jordan in 29th. He's alongside Mario Morena. Matthew Salgado in 31st as we get to the back half of the grid. He's alongside Chad Fry. Adrian Gutierrez alongside Vance Talento. 35th, Leonardo Oliveira. He's alongside Brian Morris. Aaron Ramon will be alongside Levy Poland, and rounding out the grid, it's Norberto Alvarez Jr. 39 cars on the grid tonight here, Mike.
Also want to mention there, Mario Miranda did make it. He was worried about his flight getting delayed and he wasn't going to make the race. Of course, the collegiate NASCAR driver finished in P4 in the championship, an incredible guy as well. So I'm so happy that he managed to make it out to this one. He was really bummed that he wasn't going to be a great shout and a great prospect, but he's not starting in the greatest position. So he's got a lot to do here to make up the fields. But if there's anybody that can do it, it is certainly him. I also wanted to take a moment here to mention the fact that this championship is not just open to guys. It's open to everybody. We have both an open category and a women's category. So if you are looking to find some friends, get them involved. We're looking to branch this out to bigger and better horizons to get absolutely everyone involved here in sim racing and of course here in the Team USA Talent Scout event. Very important to us, of course. We're all about equality here and want to see that prosper. As we get down to it though, Jackson, the grid is gridding, the cars, they're going to be revving, and the outlap is outlapping. We're going to be getting into this very shortly, aren't we?
And again, this is where we need to see things dialed in very quickly. As we talked about with the new patch updates, getting tires up to the correct temp here is going to be absolutely paramount. But again, it's not just about temp, and I've heard a lot of feedback from drivers, both real and virtual. You can drive so much more comfortably on the limit here with these new tires, and from a lot of the real life guys, it genuinely feels like the most realistic the patch has ever been in terms of driving at the absolute limit. Let's take you trackside though as we get set for 90 minutes of non-stop GT3 action.
It's going to be a rolling start here for the GT3s. Of course, that's going to be the standard here. No standing starts. Get all of the heat you can into the tires. This is such a crucial lap to get right. You're going to see these drivers holding their brakes, and people ask, why? Why are you holding your brakes? That's because you're trying to get your brake temperature up. That's the hottest part of the car. Most people don't often think about that. They think the engine, they think the exhaust, but no, the brakes are getting up to 1,000 degrees centigrade, even higher than that at times. And with that, that heats your wheel wells up, and the wheel wells, they heat the core temperatures of your tires up. So more than just the surface. You see people weaving around, that's going to get your surface on temp, but that's not going to go down into the internals. So when you do go to slam on the brakes for the first time into the 90, well, nothing's going to happen because your core temps are not quite up there. Your tires are going to compress and sadness is going to befall. Don't have that happen. Hold your brakes, folks, on your outlap. Get your tires up to temp and get some weaving done. We can see the lovely Porsche pace car, the default iRacing one, of course. Recently, the M2 got added. I say recently. iRacing is doing so many updates. It's such an incredible sim that I am losing track of amazing stuff they've added, of course. But the Porsche pace car will be peeling in and handing the field over to our pole sitter, It's going to be Jordan Johnson, Michael Janney alongside, folks. We got 90 minutes on the clock here, and the green flag is waving, and Jordan Johnson is shot out of the start like a cannon. Michael Janney behind, currently under pressure from Xander Reed. Nip and tuck, though, at the start. Once you reach the 90, it's Bronson Turner and Kyle Lowe. They're going to be side by side in the background with Michael Piecco making up some positions. Little bumping and banging in the background, but the front runners, they are green flag and going.
Big furball at the back there, as already the two Mustangs given a little bit of a bump to one another as we work out of the American Eau Rouge into the bus stop. Great defense from Johnson. He'll go to the middle of the track here, going into the chicane to defend, and will fire out down the long right-hander, the outer loop.
Now, you mentioned this at the top of the broadcast, Jackson, but this is where these drivers are going to have to hurry up and wait, unfortunately. This is 90 minutes on the clock. This is not a sprint race. This is not a melee. And we already can see the top three starting to kind of work together. Now, I don't know about Xander Reed. His car body language says otherwise. We're taking a look back here to the P4 eNASCAR Collegiate Champion, Mario Miranda, who's down in 17th. He's made up a couple ground here. In fact, he's made up a couple positions. He's up 13 positions here at the start, and make that a 14th on top of it, side by side with Jacob Dick. He made that one looking like taking candy from a baby.
Biggest mover of the day, bar none. We knew this guy was going to make big moves at the whole shot, and I think you can thank the chaos there that we saw in the background why I was losing it as we saw the wide shot out of turn one. We'll need to see who was actually affected by that, but Miranda on the move big time. Dick, though, starting to swing back.
We have a replay here as well. We're going to be taking a look at the start. So this is what caused a lot of shakers at the beginning here. So we're keeping an eye. We're already 3 wide. One of those Ferraris got, or Ferrari, it's a McLaren. One of those McLarens got a really good start and then turned in a bit, fired into the line of cars, and that, folks, is why there's a go bowling sign at the start finish straight. That is exactly what we saw here, and unfortunately drivers are going to be in here taking their repairs and heading back out pretty quickly, getting that car buttoned up and ready for racing condition again.
I'm not sure if Miranda missed his stop there or is already out of his box. That seemed like incredibly quick service there from the 98, but Miranda, who's already shown such strong pace, will have the opportunity to let that be flexed in clean era. Brussy branding on that BMW M4. This is the good time to have those issues, though. If you have an incident, a crash, a mistake, you want to get those out of the way early.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go, side by side. This is Jesse Laverin, who's going to try to make moves here up ahead. Anderson currently ahead. How many positions is Jesse up? 7. My goodness. What a start from the man who, again, is currently below me at Camber and Caster, looking to go for another one. Can he make it 9 by the end of this lap? Probably not, let's be completely honest. Watkins Glen, a tough track to overtake, but look at that. Flashy of the headlights, just acknowledging the camera. You'll love to see it.
Calling his shot there, trying to jam it up the inside. Now carries a little bit too much speed. We'll take it wide, going out of the heel. How about Jason Wallet in 17th? Currently 10 places gained there for the Drexel Esports driver. Harkness going with him as he takes his first position there side by side coming out of turn number 9.
And continuing to go side by side as well. Something's going to have to give here soon, but nobody wants to, and it's going to be Harkness that has to give it up. Joe able to fend that one, Joe able to fall back, and unfortunately not getting the job done yet. I wanted to talk, though, about movers and shakers real quick, because look at Norberto Alvarez Jr. in the BMW, currently running in 23rd position. He is up 16 positions from the start. Our biggest gainer here tonight by an absolute mile.
Kyle Lowe with a furball ahead, or right behind him. Magnowski and Piecco going side by side. The McLaren of Piecco going to lead right now, or Magnowski, excuse me, leading all of these trios going down through the bus stop as another move. Here comes Alvarez Jr. 3 wide into the bus stop. Low line will go to Alvarez Jr. and some nuclear moves here. It's only 5 minutes in, but they're driving like they're 5 minutes to go, Mike.
That is a full send baseball move if I've ever seen one, and thankfully he did not pull his best Aaron Judge impression and drop it in the World Series. This is an incredible run so far from Alvarez. I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, don't go for an overtake into the bus stop or into the inner loop. It's not the smartest move. Alvarez didn't get that message. He doesn't care about that message. He's a man on a mission, and congratulations, he was just overtaking Chad Fry and made that a 19th position gain for good measure. Holy smokes.
We did not see the BMWs or Corvettes show up in qualifying, but it just took 5 laps for them to tell us what's up after the green flag. Here's a replay as we ride on board with Alvarez Jr., using all of that drafting from the 2 Mustangs to help, and will slingshot to the inside. Wasn't too wide originally, but the 17 decided to up the antics there going through the bus stop. High commitment, even higher reward there for Alvarez.
Yeah, that is a high risk move if I've ever seen one. That makes me cringe just watching it. I've been there so many times, and I've been taken out so many times in that exact situation. It's so terrifying to be on the inside because you can just get pinched. That's going to be Alvarez. No, it's Harkness that's lost it all on their lonesome. Dropped the positions down to 20th. Big moment, but thankfully kept it out of the barrier. And now with the new iRacing model, one of the things that I've been hearing is you can afford to do that now. Just because you had a little slide out like that doesn't mean your tires are going to be wasted and gone.
And it's not going to feel like 50 pence pieces with having that massive flat spot. Another BMW with a move further back as we work through the bus stop, and Harkness trying to stop the bleeding. Only lost about 5 positions in that incident, and as you mentioned with the tires there, Mike, should be back to regular pace pretty quickly. Back to another Mercedes, Vance Talento in a knife fight right now. 2 Porsches ahead of them as he tries to work towards 25th.
And just behind him there, you can see that WD-40 Camber and Caster machine piloted by Lewis Holloway. Not the greatest start. Down 14 positions. I think he got caught up in that bowling incident, unfortunately, at the beginning. And the WD, well, it didn't allow him to squeak on by. Whoa, somebody's going to need a little bit of paint thinner there to get rid of the other car's paint off their car. Joe Harkness rubbing doors with the back, or with Salgado behind him. And up at the front, we go back here to our top 3. No shakers and movers here. You look at anywhere else in the field, something has happened, but our top 3 almost in harmony with each other. And heck, Adrian Puebla, who's also joined this conversation, he has gained 1 position since the start in the team Simpact Racing. Well, he's in here as well for good measure. So a 4-way fight for the lead currently, but I wouldn't call this a fight, Jackson. This is more, again, just them trying to extend their gaps, worry about the rest of the field currently, and then worry about each other later.
90-minute game of cat and mouse here as they're navigating around one of the lap traffic cars, I believe. Artis Magia, yes it is. But no, this is absolutely just biding your time. If you're comfortable with a guy running in front of you and maybe seeing how you can run in the draft, maybe tuck in behind and maybe put your fangs out if you got the confidence to run in clean air. But again, do not expect some bold moves from the top 3 who have absolutely broken away so far from Puebla and Halsband.
My goodness, we're 8.5 minutes into this race, and it feels like we've been watching just a sprint and a half. It's a melee. It's almost a boxing match from the 90s. Enter Mike Tyson and Fury. But it's with everybody. It's not just one set of drivers right now. Anywhere you look on this track, they are meleeing, squabbling for positions. Folks, this is what the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by MOZA is all about.
Have a Saturday. Jason Wallet, Drexel driver we've been talking about so far, is now fending off the other hard charger of Alvarez. And there's a Porsche currently, I believe Jacob Dick, yes it is, in that Crimson 66 Porsche in front of them. What's the defense going to be like at this point in the race? Clearly some argy-bargy from Alvarez, looking for any place he can put that hard-charging BMW.
Yeah, this is going to be a hard one to defend. Alvarez has proved himself to be quite the fortuitous driver right now, and with that Porsche ahead, he's up 7 positions as well as Jacob Dick, so having a really good start himself. But it's not to take away from the elephant sitting on the top of our heads right now, Norberto Alvarez Jr., who has just been tearing through this field like a paper shredder, continuing to do so as well as we go down towards the inner loop. We know this is a favorite overtaking spot for him. He's going to commit to the outside. Why the heck not? Can he get it done in time? Yes, he does. And I think Jacob Dick says, okay, you go, sir. I'm not going to fend that one off. And honestly, fair play to the 66.
Jacob Dick, another CIL racer who's no stranger to racing alongside Drexel, and that's the kind of coexistence and knowing thy enemy that allows this amazing wheel-to-wheel racing, as we see two Porsches try and attempt the same. Aaron Ramon and Brian Morris as they go side by side. Now a liftoff from Ramon to get back in line, but Tolentino right behind is trying to get that spot from him.
Yeah, these guys got to really start working together. What's going on there? Who is that?
One car
That's
around.
going to be Michael Rail Galen, I think. No, that's the battle. Who is that? That's Leonardo Oliveira? Either way, it's
It was a
somebody dropping
Mercedes.
down the order
I want to
quite
say
hard.
it was Aaron. I want to say it was Aaron Brown. I'm not sure, as we've got problems for Alvarez Jr. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Was it contact with someone else? Did he potentially make contact with the slowing Aaron Brown? I'm not entirely sure, but the boulder goes back to the bottom of the hill, unfortunately, for the 99.
I think that was a slowdown penalty, is what I think that was. But
Really?
that's nearly 10 positions lost if that was the case. I don't know. Maybe involved in contact. Either way, he's going to be into the pit lane immediately. Let's find out. This is the replay here. Of course, the replay powered by MOZA. Let's see how it went. And the MOZA car down to the inside of the BMW and contact at the apex. Now, that camera angle not really doing it the most justice. I'm sure the stewards will be taking a look at that one, but for me, that's a hard one to call.
I believe that was Mark Lurick or, I'm trying to think. No, Michael Ray Galan, excuse me, in that plain black 528 car. He was kind of waiting for a mistake there from that whole three-pack of cars in front of them. Not necessarily within striking distance, that I think just got a little bit overambitious there going down to the heel. So do not be surprised if we see a penalty coming his way in a couple laps time. Battle for the lead, though, starting to heat up, actually, as Michael Janin sets radar lock right now on Jordan Johnson. Are we going to see a move here, Mike?
Yeah, why not? We got 8.5 seconds to Puebla behind. There's no reason to not go for it, really. Let's just go for the move now. Change a lead, potentially? No, maybe not. I think Michael Janney not quite going for it just yet. He's still just getting his feelers out right now, seeing maybe he's applying the pressure at this point and just trying to see where the weaknesses are in Jordan Johnson. Where is he going to run wide? If I test the waters and I move to the inside here, is he going to move to the outside? Does that show weakness? He's just trying to feel his opponent out and find any advantage that he can. Not quite the similar situation for down here, as this is what you would describe as a knife fight in a phone booth.
Tolentino with the over-under here on one of the Porsches. Brian Morris will try and get that position done as we head towards the final corner. Inside line helps with the camber, but Morris throws the white flag and lets Tolentino set sail. Again, we talk about some big positions gained here, 23rd to 20th, so this entire freight train ahead here. Some big positions gained. Here comes Holloway to the inside of Morris. Doesn't quite get there. And another big potential argy-bargy move there from Holloway in the 95. Not quite the slick pass he was looking for there, Mike.
No, I'm not sure that was intentional. I think he missed his braking zone slightly, and it even scared him probably more than it scared Morris. But thankfully, the Porsche, with very heads-up decision-making and eyes on the back of his head, saw that there was a car coming quite hot into his side panel and said, you know what, I choose life. And a great decision that one was. He gets out of the way, no contact, no penalties needed, just a slight little mistake and maybe a little damage to the pride there of Lewis Holloway. Either way, continuing forward on here is going to be Jesse Laverin in the other camber and caster car out on track. Currently 14th position for Jesse, up 7 from where they started in that 27 McLaren. And next up the road for them is going to be Steven Anderson. Morgan Stringer as well, not far up, as this is a bit of a battle pack. And no, Jesse commentator curse has binned it through the outer loop. Oh, I feel terrible.
The commentator's curse strikes again, and the camber and caster 27 will have to gather it back up. We're gonna get an assessment of the damage here. Is it good enough for Laverin to continue going, or is he kind of forced to the NASCAR suspension alignment? Maybe not entirely straight, going down the back straightaway. Ooh, big touch of the wall there further back. Jacob Dick in the Porsche. Looks like he got into the wall coming out of 11. Looks like Jesse Laverin still confident enough to carry on, though, despite having a pretty good lick. You can see the damage on the front bumper. Here's a replay. Was it just a little bit too much right foot when he was maybe on the curbing coming out of turn number 9? Let's see. Oh, yeah.
I think you're 100% right there. Just a slight little bit too much right foot, and as a result, the car pirouettes around, and that wasn't the hardest hit to the front end, and with the McLaren as well, you can get away with a little bit of front splitter damage. The problem lies if you get that diffuser, any bits of damage on the diffuser. That's where most of the downforce is going to be produced from this car. So the rear end, it's a very rear-biased car, so that maybe, I think Jesse just got away with it. This fight, though, really does look to be heating up, and oh no, the tires of Edward Sanchez are also heating up, and it looks like so are tempers on track. What's happened there to the Porsche as well? That's Gutierrez.
Looks like there might have been contact between these two, as we've seen some things out driving from the Porsches early on here, just 15 minutes in, but you can throw a blanket over this podium right now. Neither of these two, Jani and Reed, able to be in striking distance of Johnson. Are we going to see maybe a change of position in second and third, though? Maybe Xander Reed wants to tell Jani, let me try for it. I've got pace.
Yeah, let's see if he goes for it here. This is not the best move, though, and I think that Reed knows it. This is not the time nor the place, especially in equal machinery. The inner loop is a dangerous move at the best of times, and yes, if you have enough overspeed, yes, if you have enough overlap, you can make it work, but if you don't, you really don't even want to try. You pretty much on this corner want your front tire to be near on the A pillar if you're actually going to commit to a move. It is not for the faint-hearted.
So again, the biding of time here from our podium, and just because it's an 11-second and counting gap to the competition, they are still waiting and really want all the insurance they can get. Aaron Ramon, though, gonna waste no time. Are we gonna see 3 wide again here in the run into the bus stop? We might. Ramon's thinking about it. He's got the car slot, but decides to think smarter of it and back in. That's Fry on the inside in the factory-colored McLaren, and Salgado will lead all of them heading down the right-hander.
Yeah, discretion being the better part of valor there, and that is the right choice for Ramon. You have to be careful here. There's still so much time left in this race, and here we go. This is going to be a good opportunity to just think about Ascend. I don't think he's going to commit, and he really doesn't. The 43 car is just, again, putting his feelers out and seeing what they can get away with. Who's that in the background? That's Lewis Holloway. He's managed to gain some positions as well. Remember, he was caught up in that lap 1 incident and was down over 14 positions. Well, now he's only down 10, so he's made up 4 since the start. This is going to be helping him out as well. Chad Fry side by side right now with the McLaren. Ooh, is that Salgado? And wide goes the AMG, but still continuing the fight.
You ask why the Cup guys love this track so much. It's because it kind of drives like an oval, the camber and everything. Ramon's around. Oh my goodness, exact same incident we saw with the camber and caster machine. Just a little bit too much right foot there, as nearly we see the exact same thing from Oliveira further behind.
Oh my, and the rear wing has been deposited on the circuit. The marshals are going to bring home a new souvenir now, and Ramon has to come into pit lane. Or he doesn't.
Guess not.
Aaron Ramon stays out and is certainly going to be going, in theory, a lot quicker in a straight line. Here, folks, is going to be a bit of a replay, Tom, that's up, and seeing the full display of the right foot. And yes, indeed, was contact? I don't think there was.
I don't think so.
It was tight, but I don't think there was a touch. And oh no, the dominoes are falling. Is that?
That's not our podium. That's not our provisional podium sitter. It's the same colors of Xander Reed. It's unfortunately Ricky Paz. And after being involved as well in that go bowling scenario at lap 1, turn 1, it's a bad day gone worse for the ECU graduate.
Ricky Paz, of course, as we mentioned time and time again, eNASCAR driver, also previous, no, he's not, my bad, sorry, Ricky, wrong person, sorry, but previous Indy 250 winner, Ricky Paz, drank the milk at the line, not going to be having any semblance of that today, unfortunately. This is going to be what happened to him. And again, just a case of car stranded on the right, so maybe a bit of distraction there, and that distraction led to just a lapse in judgment. unfortunately, the rest was history, and it was Rodriguez is who that was.
Same colors. I thought it was the Porsche of Jacob Dick there in the Ball State colors, but no. So Chad Fry, despite all of the chaos around him, will continue on the hunt for Salgado. And how about Mario Miranda? We saw such a brilliant hole shot making the most of the chaos lap 1, turn 1, and it was unfortunately a factory reset for him after coming into the pits. He had to with the damage of his BMW, but already back on the move. Great stuff there from the 98.
Yeah, he is the eNASCAR P4 collegiate driver that I was talking about before in the Zero-G machinery, and currently carving his way back through the field once again. We're looking, though, at Chad Fry, who's behind Mario Miranda at the moment, and battling with Matthew Salgado. A big wiggle forward for the AMG of Vance. Manages to keep it under control there, but certainly needs to be careful. Oh my goodness, Vance here is looking like quite the aggressive boy right now, heading down towards the outer loop. And this is making me a little bit nervous.
It's the Eric Hellsman show right now in P5, though. He's been kind of on an island for this opening stanza, and now he's finally got a battle buddy with... Who is that, Brandon Turner? Yes, it is, right behind him, as just a little bit further back, it's Kyle Lowe versus another McLaren, Michael Piecchio. You can just see those two battling in the top right of your screen. So again, big breakaway here from the front of the field, but within the top 10, still battles aplenty. And a lot of very, very close competition, not a runaway in any means.
We still have a pit stop. Oh my. This is Salgado trying to go for the move on to Chad Fry, and he almost ended up, well, in the fry cooker, to be honest. That was a very close call. Salgado, though, doing his best due diligence to keep his car to himself. Through the final corner, he was thinking about a move. I'm not sure about that, but it's going to work out. The decision, no, but it's ended up bottlenecking him as a result. Matthew Salgado sold the dummy successfully and ended up with Chad Fry overreacting and parking in front of him.
Unfortunately, the first time we've seen a very, very good battle, a prolonged battle, end in heartbreak. Salgado and Fry both looking for so much, and a little bit of the chrome horn given back there from Fry. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but definitely these two knocking each other off of their Christmas card lists. Absolutely.
Yeah, no love lost, I hope, but I don't know. That was, again, it was just a very unfortunate situation because it was a really good dummy sell where it was Salgado just making him think that he was going for the move. And to be fair, Chad Fry did. He thought he was going for the move and overreacted just slightly. Once Pandora's box is opened, we all know that that's something that can never be closed. And that is unfortunately exactly what we saw on that occasion. We saw Fry spin and then the unfortunate car placement as a result with the momentum carrying him to the wall. Clark here, we're riding along with chasing down Stringer with Hugh a good while ahead. So currently a bit of a two-way fight, but if they start battling, look at who's right in the background. That's going to be Sean Roberts and Anderson just in their wing mirrors.
Top Porsche, Corey A. Clark in the 26, as Stringer continues to defend, has held off this Quattro for well over 15 minutes at this point, as all of these guys, I think, are trying to have the same level of patience the front of the field has. They know a top 10 finish is potentially up for grabs. And again, still so much to shuffle out here, whether it's on track or through the numerous pit stops we have scheduled here throughout the night. So again, still a lot of action to go here as we're not even a third into this round. But Steven Anderson says, maybe I don't want to wait much longer. I see the eagerness of Clark in front of me trying to get around Stringer. Maybe I go for a move and get him with his pants down.
Yeah, this could be the occasion, and looking ahead, the Porsche, you can see he's going to be sweating like a cow in a burger joint right now, just trying to go for the move onto Stringer, and we might have to see an offensive-defense move in order to hold on to that position. What do I mean by that? Well, typically, when somebody goes for a send, you obviously have to cover the line, but if you have another car in front of you, you could sort of use them as a roadblock, so go for a half overtake if you're under pressure. That way there's two cars in the way, and, well, there's no possible way that Anderson could get around as a result, or excuse me, Roberts could get around as a result. So trying to use the, well, drivers around you to your advantage, that's the plan, but no plan survives first contact, especially with the enemy, and, well, we're surrounded by enemies right now.
The Jacksonism always used here, Mike, you know this, don't make expensive mistakes, right? Or don't make expensive moves. So this is where you got to kind of take a look at the big picture if you're Steven Anderson. Yes, I might be comfortable running behind Clark right now, and maybe it's a little bit risky for me to get past, but I know I've got that lap delta. I know I'm trying to get up to Matt Hugh here in 10th. Maybe I don't wait much longer. Maybe I try and actually go for this move right now. Maybe I carry all of this momentum out of the S's to have a look on the outside, maybe the inside into the bus stop. Gonna be big commitment here. How much is Clark gonna fight it? Not too much. P12 for Anderson.
Nicely done. Anderson trying to cut the Gordian knot, and he finally finds the success. That was a very aggressive move, but he manages to get it done. Back to the front now, and it looks like Janny is starting to get a bit impatient. And currently, if I'm Xander Reed, I am licking my lips and smiling like a Cheshire cat, because these two are about to go for an all-out war, I suspect. And if I'm Xander Reed, I'm just going to sit back, watch, and pick up the scraps. There's still over an hour to go in this race. Let those two go and let them have their fun. Be there to pick up the pieces.
I have never seen GT3 racing in this level of lockstep. The synchronized turn-in breaking points and apexes there going into the 90. This is how locked in all three of these guys are right now. And I would love to see the onboard telemetry right now from Janny and Reed. How much lifting are we seeing right now? There's a great opportunity from a move from Janny. Are we going to see it? He'll look to the outside where Reed's already waiting. And now we'll back off again. Johnson, absolutely. He's leading right now and defending. But again, when you've got two incredibly fast guys, two black belts breathing down your neck, to not crack when he is, I mean, right on your bumper for 25 minutes straight, that is incredibly, incredibly difficult.
And this is so fascinating because you mentioned that, and these drivers, they don't crack under the pressure. You see them selling the dummies, right? And Janny going for a move left, going for a move right, causing a bit of a wiggle from Jordan Johnson. I think there was contact that allowed to that. This is going to be a poor run then as we go down towards the back section, and this is the best opportunity we've seen side by side for the lead of this race. Michael Janny going to be forcing the issue, getting his elbows out and running his opponent off the track. Not going to be enough though, because look at that, Jordan Johnson still in the fight, still pressing his advantage now and trying to hold the inside line for the coming corners, not giving an inch, nevertheless a mile. Through they go, the penultimate corner, and on to the final. It's going to be the inside line now for Janny. And is this going to be the job done? No, not yet, Jackson. We're still side by side.
Look at Xander Reed using the bumper of the Mustang to try and help the fellow Ford here into turn number 1. There was a little bit of help. We talk about why the Cup car guys love this so much. You can run side by side. Johnson has to go the long way. Is this the first lead change we're going to see tonight? It is! Janny to the lead for the first time tonight here at the Glen.
And as predicted, this is Xander Reed trying to pick up the scraps. He was using Michael Janny as a battering ram, and now trying to use his own car as a battering ram. The Apex Racing team trying to go for the lead here, which they already were, I guess, trying to trade positions side by side, though, through the inner loop. That's never going to work, and Jordan Johnson has lost 2 positions in about 5 corners. And at this point, well, he sees this big blue and red car ahead, but I guarantee you through his vision, it is absolutely a red haze.
A little bit of smoke coming out of the Mustang of Reed, though. I think he locked it up going through turn number 6. And again, that keeps Johnson right in this conversation and able to gather it back up. So what's the response now from the McLaren of Johnson? Is he going to already swing back, or do we wait? Again, we haven't even had regularly scheduled stops here. So how is strategy going to play into this? Do you wait for the 2 Mustangs to pit? Do you try playing the long game? Do you think you're better in the single lap pace and you go for the undercut? Still a lot of questions to ask here as we are just now a third into this race.
Yeah, a lot of questions to ask and not many answers to be found, to be completely honest. Here we go, back side by side with Mario Miranda for P19. This is going to be, I think, Jordan trying to get the move done on, and there goes Mario Miranda. through, so actually making it through. And what is this? Ricky Paz! Oh my goodness,
my
I thought that was our P3. Ricky Paz, an unlucky culprit here tonight, and it's going to be him spun round side of the road once again, and gets back going. We certainly knew that from the Indy 250, we had the interview with him. We knew that he was going to struggle a little bit, or he knew he was going to struggle a little bit in this race. Didn't think it was going to be to this extent, though. I know how much practice he put in for this event, and it's really unfortunate to see how it pans out. But not over yet. Still, as you mentioned, we're only 1/3 of the way. That's 2/3 of the race left for all of those that find folks who need to live. Well, I need the help with math, to be honest. But either way, 2/3 of the race left to go, and the battle for the lead has not left. And we talk about this battle for the lead time and time again because this is so fascinating to watch these high IQ decision-making processes. This is playing chess at 200 miles an hour in some of the most advanced ways possible. It's three-way chess, which doesn't even exist. So this is, again, just that much more difficult. This, though, is the replay with Ricky Paz. And let's see, Jackson, what happened here.
Took it just a little bit too shallow there. Through the bus stop, monster trucked over the curbing and upset that Mustang big time. That's a scary, scary place to have it parked broadside. Blind corner through the outer loop, but great rejoin there from Ricky Paz, who was certainly looking at his deltas, making sure everybody was clear around him and could rejoin safely without ruining anyone else's night.
Yeah, you got to respect that. And back to Brian Morris here, who's currently in 26th position, looking to fight Gallon up ahead. Still a little bit of a gap there to close down on. He's up 10 positions, though, is Brian Morris. So a great effort thus far into the night. And Michael Ray Gallon up ahead. He's currently where he started in 25th position. There are not many drivers that can say that, to be honest. In fact, he's the only one, now that I'm looking at it. He is the only person that is currently where they started. Started 25th, runs in 25th. Everybody else has moved, shaked, and, well, shaken but not stirred, I guess.
Got a couple here. Matthew Hughes started in 10th, is still where he started. I think that's the only one you just mentioned. The timing screen was throwing me for a loop there. Whatever. Steven Anderson right now on the hunt, trying to hunt down Morgan Stringer, as these two have been bumper to bumper for the greater part of the past 10-15 minutes, as Anderson slowly chipping away here at the fellow McLaren.
And Anderson and Stringer, I wonder, again, if we're going to see some of these drivers start to work together, because we're kind of in that maintenance phase of this race. And while some drivers are still in heated battles, some are now currently trying to think, how do I move forward? Because yes, Anderson can go for this overtake onto Stringer, and he can make the move done, but this is from moving to P12 to P11. Yes, it's a position, it's closer to the top 10, but there's still so much time left. What more can you gain? How can I capitalize on this and use Stringer to my advantage? Can we use some bump drafting? Can we use each other here to find the back of Hugh, and then maybe even from there, find the back of Magnowski? There's so many potential opportunities here for these drivers in these small little packs, but it's often thrown away by the battling.
I think it's so much more just the premise of clean air. If you've got pace and you're struggling to overtake, you need to have nobody in front of you. And if you're having someone hold you up, we saw this issue earlier on with Halsband, who's just now finally getting to the McLaren of Puebla. It's just the ability to kind of unravel that pace and let that car fly the way you want it to. So going to be interesting to see how some of these guys coexist with one another, as we're starting to see some kind of matchups and battles we're starting to see for the first time tonight, and this being one of them, as this kind of duo of Halsband and Turner reaching Adrian Puebla.
Exactly. And, you know, this is a great time now that we are 1/3 of the way through this race. I just want to take a moment to mention that this race is powered by MOZA. And if you are interested, type !MOZA in chat. You can head on over to their website with our affiliate link and find yourself some amazing MOZA products. I know for a fact that I have the R5, which is absolutely amazing, especially if you are just kind of getting into sim racing and looking to advance. Highly recommend that bundle. It is a great choice for somebody that's looking to get that more intermediate step into sim racing. And of course, with Ricky Paz riding with the R12 and various other drivers having those advanced levels of equipment, you can of course take that step forward. But Again, for those that are starting out, highly recommend the R5, the R7, and above there. That is a great starting point for anybody looking to get into sim racing. Now, though, back to the action at hand, and the lead of this race is spiced up to an astronomical degree. Jordan Johnson, our pole sitter, has been relinquished to third position. However, he may be down, Jackson, but he is certainly not out.
Already Fangs out there coming out of turn number 9, was trying to get a fender underneath Xander Reed. Now they've kind of fanned out a little bit more. We see more problems for Edward Sanchez. I'm not entirely sure what happened there to the 126. We'll get our answer right now. This is working down towards the chutes. And was it contact from one of the Cameron Castor McLarens? No, he lost it on himself, was in far too quickly going down the chute. And that's going to be big time damage there to the Mercedes.
I think that's a case of driving in your mirrors is what I think that was. Just sort of looking too much at the car behind you and not focusing on the road ahead. A very uncharacteristic mistake, to be completely honest, and it's a real shame that it ended up in that manner, but hey, them's the brakes, and well, you got to remember to use them sometime. Jordan Johnson, though, back on the attack right now, and Xander Reed currently running in second. Now, Michael Janney, keep in mind on this fact here, Jordan Johnson and Michael Janney are both from the same team. They're both from the Apex Racing team, so they may work together. Now, of course, this is an individual race in the Team USA Talent Scout event. So are they going to? Well, we will find out. We'll see now. Of course, Joe Harkness also down the field and a few more, but Xander Reed continuing to be in that slipstream, and I'm wondering, well, if he is going to be thinking about that himself. Well, I'm currently in an ART sandwich. How do I get out?
And again, that's the kind of teamwork we saw earlier on. Xander Reed giving Janney a really, really big push going down the front straightaway to even make that move possible for Michael. So again, teamwork being an aspect for now. Jacob Dick in the 66 for Ball State. Very, very cool to see some real-life affiliation there as he hunts down Mario Miranda, Ball State Esports, in a real-life technical alliance with Ray Hall, Letterman Lanigan, the IndyCar team, as well as the crew that runs the BMW GTPs in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Obviously, both being Indiana-based. Very, very cool to see that level of collaboration. It's always been Ray Hall, Letterman Lanigan actually doing that, formerly in a collaboration with CSU in Colorado. I think there's still a little bit of a integration there with the One Cure charity there, but big education integration from RLL, and Jacob Dick gets some big time help there in the 66 Porsche.
Yeah, he certainly does. And, you know, folks, I also wanted to remind people why we're not necessarily seeing these drivers work together as much as they otherwise might. There is a prize on the line for the winner. There's also a prize. There's a random drawing that we're going to be doing at the end of this race as well, yes. But the winner of this race is going to claim a MOZA GS V2P GT wheel. That's a fancy one. It's a lot of letters, so you know it's a fancy one. Very, very high quality, and certainly what these drivers are aspiring to win here tonight. So Janney is not going to give this one to Johnson for free. Let's just put it that way.
The wheels they've got actually at the Esports setup at World of Racing, and the price tag is up there, but again, the tactile sensation that the buttons have is close to real life. Completely phenomenal. And again, you see the reason why these guys are driving such things out right now. Not only is potentially a trip to Saudi on the line for Team USA, but some very, very top tier fresh hardware on the line. Eric Hallsbon continues to put the pressure on Puebla. He's broken away right now from Turner and Michael Piecco as the battle for fourth very much on now.
He is piling it on like a load of bricks currently, and Puebla is going to be feeling it like the weight of the world on his shoulders. Can he hold it like the mythical Titan Atlas? I'm not sure. Puebla has done a great job thus far. He was hanging with the heavy hitters for a good while. Keep that in mind. He was in fourth. He is in fourth, but he was running right behind the Jordan Johnson, Reed, and Janney train for a good long while. It just fell off at a certain point, and once he lost that slipstream, he continued down the timing charts, and now, well, he has found a little bit of company, and not in the best company that he was looking for. Let's just say that.
I think the $1 million question here is, if you're in fourth, do you potentially have the pace to crawl all the way back from 24 seconds to this front of the field. Halsbond clearly has the pace to at least work to P4. So the question is he going to be able to take it and maybe join this podium conversation with still 50 minutes on the clock and 1 pit stop to go? So the HP Racing driver in lockstep right now with the McLaren of Adrian Puebla, Team Simpac driver, as again, line for line right now, a little bit wide here going through the toe. Trying to carry as much speed as possible in the rainbow colored McLaren.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to push it at the maximum right now. And Turner, only 2.4 seconds, 2.8 seconds in the background. So if these two start squabbling, well, we might just see a new P4 sitter and a different name that we're not expecting. Something else we're not expecting is Matthew Salgado to make a mistake here in a similar way, I'm assuming, to what we've seen time and time and time again. Too much loud pedal through the third to last corner, and the results are always the same.
I think it's a cautions breed, cautions kind of thing. One driver goes a little bit too wide, kicks dirt back onto the racing line on the outside of turn 9, and again, all that does is make it looser and looser for more people. Obviously, it'll get washed away in time, but we've seen so many guys go around there that we haven't really seen the opportunity for that area of the course to necessarily grip back in. Mustang's getting racy right now. The Apex guys going inside and out down the chute. And Janny says, not so fast to the fellow Apex driver, Xander Reed.
Yeah, and Xander Reed, he's the lone wolf here in this hunt right now in the Apex Racing Team sandwich. 77, what do you do here? Again, is it a forward trend or is it a backwards trend? Because I really think that whoever's in third position has the advantage in this pack. Now, you obviously want the track position. You obviously want to work with your teammates. And that's where Xander Reed cannot afford to let these two link up again. We saw them pushing each other down the straight. Well, actually, we saw Xander Reed pushing Jordan Johnson. So even less team play coming in, to be honest. But through the final few corners and in the sector 3 they go. No overtaking chance for Xander Reed. Jordan Johnson, though, are the cards going to fall in his favor? It's certainly starting to look that way.
Ooh, a little bit of sparks there coming out of Johnson's car as he was running right up against the wall on exit there. Big ups to Johnson. He got pushed into third, but has not faltered at all. Stayed glued to the bumper of Xander Reed. And Janny, despite having clear air for the first time tonight, has not been able to peel away from these two. So starting to see a little bit more aggression here from Johnson. Are we potentially going to see a move into the bus stop? Has a peek to the outside, but Xander says no, sir. As they get almost airborne, at least 2 wheels off of the ground there, as they're nearly board sliding through the bus stop.
It is amazing to see how in sync these three are. You mentioned it earlier, but them all hitting the exact same apex at the exact same braking point and the exact same turn-in point. It is mesmerizing to watch. It's almost like clockwork, to be honest, with these guys driving behind the wheel. And this is what talent does, right? I mean, again, this lobby is absolutely full of talent, but these three, I don't want to say it, but just built slightly different is how I'll put it. They're quick and quite rapid.
When there's 28 seconds on the rest of the field, you absolutely can say these three are built different. But it's a level of synchronization that you see in maybe the K1 speed group that spends maybe a little bit too much time there, and you can see them like totally perfectly serpentine through a circuit. But the only difference is they're doing that at 40 miles an hour. The three of these guys are doing it north of 140, a little bit wide there from Xander Reed, who carried it a little bit too wide there through turn number 10. Again, another quick puff of smoke there from Johnson, who is maybe driving a little bit harder now to keep up with these guys as Jenny starts to slowly build a gap now on the fellow Mustang.
Yeah, and a nice little cushion, I guess you could call it. I mean, half a second isn't much of a cushion, but it's more than we've seen from the word go. So it's quite a battle these three are having, and this is actually going to put Xander Reed into a weak situation now, because as that slipstream drops, well, look at this. We get the overspeed into the outside. I don't think it's going to work on this occasion, but he is certainly making Xander Reed think now. Where is he going for the move? When is he going for the move? And why, or when exactly is he going to do it? Don't know is the question, and Xander Reed trying his best to get the read onto Jordan Johnson as well. Not quite able to find the ground just yet.
If you're side by side going into the bus stop, it is a very interesting case of commitment, as in there's kind of a case for either guy to lift. I suppose the guy who was in the lead first or the guy who's in the inside is there. So I think the name of the game here for Johnson is just getting a better run out of turn one and trying to see if he's going to be able to, get that overtake done before they're even on the anchors for the chicane. We'll have to see, as Eric Hellsbound was looking really, really racy against Puebla. He wants fourth very badly, Mike. He's still just not able to get there.
Yeah, not quite, and it's really a tough battle for that sake. But again, I still think they should do a good job working together. Here is Joshua Jordan into pit lane. So we're at that halfway point. Holy smokes, we're at the halfway point. Wow. Cool. That happened quick. Halfway through the race. Again, a nice time to remind everybody that this race is powered by MOZA, folks. And if you are interested, type !MOZA in chat to find a link over to our affiliates. And also, big thank you to everybody that's helped out here with the Team USA Talent Scout event, our community partner Trackalicious, on top of eClutch as well, and of course our production team, aka Esports. You can see the logo up there in the top right. And our producer Tom Bryant, who is of course with AK, but got to shout Tom out as well. It is Jackson Lambros and myself, Mike Noss, on the comms here. We're halfway done with the Team USA Talent Scout event, Race 3, here in the Watkins 90. And my goodness, Jackson, this has been an exciting one.
Jordan Johnson working around lap traffic, nearly makes contact there with, I believe, Zachary Flatt. No, I mean, no matter where you look, it's been incredible storylines, incredible battles, some great comeback drives from Miranda and Wallet, but these three have been completely untouchable. Michael Janney, Xander Reed, and Jordan Johnson. When I say lockstep, it is carbon copy on entry, apex, and exit, as we watch one of the first top 10 drivers come in, as Kyle Lowe will pit from P8 for the first scheduled stop, the lone scheduled stop of the day.
Now, before we get to our scheduled stops, now's a good time to talk about movers and shakers before the pit lane. So, we talked about Lewis Holloway a little bit from the Camber and Caster team, and had that incident on the lap one, was down 14 positions to begin with, and now currently down 5. So really good job of climbing their way back through the field and making the best of a bad situation. We also saw from that same team, Jesse Laverne, down in, the third to last corner, having a bit of a spin. Since then, has really gotten on quite well, found 7 positions to be gained. Steven Anderson up 6, 16 positions gained for Aaron Ramon. 11 for Vance Tellerito, as well as we see 12 for Brian Morris, and a couple more big gainers. We mentioned Alvarez Jr., who was up the most of anybody, but we don't really know what happened to Alvarez Jr. and why he is now up 9 positions. Still nothing to shake a stick at, but not quite where he wanted to be at this stage.
Here's a battle that's been going on for pretty much the past 30 minutes. Eric Hellsbound on the bumper of Adrian Puebla. And this is where we want to talk about the importance of strategy. What is the call going to be here for Hellsbound and Puebla? One, not just overtaking one another, or I guess holding position in the case of Puebla, but potentially closing that gap to Johnson. As much as I say that, 30 seconds and change now, it's going to be very, very difficult for anybody to join that conversation at this point. But the battle for the best of the rest is alive and well. And again, keep in mind, Bronnon Turner and Michael Piecco not too far behind, just 2.5 seconds further back on the road.
They got their nose to the grindstone, just like Sean Roberts does right now, trying to find an overtake on a Steven Anderson. Sean hasn't had the greatest race so far, but hasn't had the worst either. Currently just down 1 position from where he started. The 333 looking to the outside of the inner loop. I'm not so sure about that. A great defense there from Steven Anderson, as he pretty much plants himself dead center of the track and does not allow a Ford Mustang GT3 sized gap to get through. Doing a great job of defense there. And Kyle Lowe out of pit lane. No, not again. Another rear wing left in the third to last corner for the Souvenirs. And Lewis Holloway waves goodbye as he gets a free overtake.
It's been the turn 9 graveyard here, and now Martinsky, the next one, with a foot in it. And I'm not sure if Martinsky has had to stop already, but that will pretty much answer the call for strategy for him. as Kyle Lowe, one of the first top guys to serve their stop, has emerged in 16th. So that gives us a pretty good example of the time and position potentially to be lost when we see some more guys come in for their mandatory trip, as Eric Hellsbond continues to put the pressure on Pueblo.
The problem with Kyle Lowe, you mentioned there, is he came out in traffic. So is this the time? I don't think it is. The drivers are waiting past that halfway point, and fair play to them. I think it's too early in this strategy. And also, who wants to see people pitting around the halfway point? Come on, folks, let's get some exciting strategies. As we are, we're getting a variety of strategies. We're getting a variety of cars and what they're doing, and variety of manufacturers doing different things as well. This is an AMG on a McLaren, of course, the Germans and the British battling it out on American soil, and that is certainly what I would not describe as the racing line.
Pueblo going very, very wide there. I think was driving off the mirrors, as Mike would say it, and just maybe keeping an eye on Hellsbond just a smidge too much right now. Carried all of that momentum further back. This is now the battle for 10th with P10 coming into the pit. Sean Roberts trying the outside into the bus stop. Who had the ideal line? Did we see a move? He still can't clear Anderson.
That was such a great camera angle there. Really gives you a sense of speed to see just truly how quick these GT3 cars are. 180 plus mile or 180-ish miles an hour. Down though to the outside, Sean Roberts not quite going that speed at this occasion, but still playing very high stakes games here and seeing where you can make your plays. The outside line there is very peculiar. He's trying to carry his momentum, I think, onto the straight, but I'm not sure how well that's going to work for him. This is the Jordan Johnson, though, going for the position over Xander Reed. Xander clips the curb, almost takes Jordan Johnson for a ride, but he takes himself onto the outfield and hands the position over, and now it's an Apex Racing Team 1-2.
Thank goodness that didn't end in heartbreak. One of the quickest and narrowest parts of the track. And somehow, some way, Xander Reed able to gather it back up. How about Sean Roberts? That front left fender on that Mustang nearly gone, but is able to still bring the fight to Anderson. A look to the inside in turn number 10 will roll all of that momentum to the left of the McLaren. Now the attempt for the over-under out of the final corner. Still can't get there. Roberts down but not out as another car in the wall. It's Lewis Holloway.
Oh no, Lewis in the camber and caster machine just trying to get that car back going. He has to recover again. Had such a good time of a recovery drive, and then unfortunately has another spin. He was caught up in that lap one incident. Lewis, big shout out to you there, and hopefully you can manage to get going once more. Sean Roberts back on the attack, and with Anderson up ahead, he's shown prospects of going for the inner loop once. I don't think he's going to do it again. He picks the outside line and he says, no, I'm going to wait. This is not the best time. And I have to agree with Sean. This is not the best time.
Great stuff from Sean Roberts, though, again, to even stay within conversation. We talk about the strong suits of the Mustang, and it should go without saying here, but with that naturally aspirated Coyote V8, that thing is able to, in the straight line, blow the doors off nearly anything if you give it enough time and enough pavement. And we talk about the McLaren always being one of the better balanced cars. That's why it's been so favored here at the Glen, especially in the medium speed corners, which is almost an exclusive here at this track. So a very, very good mix here as, again, two of the best cars on this track go at it in what is now the battle for 10th. Starting to see some more guys in the top 10, though, come to pit lane. Bronson Turner throwing the towel in.
Yeah, this is a good time to come in. The battling has not come to a conclusion, but it's minimized. So now we have a bit bigger of a field spread, which allows the drivers to pit with some safety. They don't have to worry about getting stuck in traffic every single time they go out. You get to have a chance to breathe. You get some clean air. You get a couple laps of freedom, which hasn't really been the case throughout the entirety of this race, and trying his best right now is Eric Hellsbond, doing exactly what I'm talking about. No clean air whatsoever to be found, and trying to get the overtake onto Puebla. It's a matter of when, not if, I feel, but Puebla, again, quick, very quick. We already know this. They can keep up with Xander Reed, Jordan Johnson, and Michael Janney, just not for an extended period of time.
Here we go. First time we've seen one of the podium sitters in the pit lane. It's Michael Janney and Xander Reed, and Jordan Johnson going to try and play the long game here. We see one of the Porsches coming in as well, Jason Wallet. And Jordan Johnson, for the first time tonight, is going to have nobody in his mirrors.
Yeah, I think this is Jordan, well, not really Jordan's choice. This was Michael Janney that said, I'm doing the opposite of what Jordan does. If Jordan comes in this lap, I'm going to pit. If Jordan stays out, I'm not, excuse me, other way around. If Jordan goes in, I won't pit. If Jordan comes out or stays out, I will pit. And that's exactly what we saw. Xander Reed just followed suit and went for the pit stop either way. And Jordan Johnson will pit on the next lap no matter what. He cannot afford to waste that time with the new tires. That's going to be giving them quite the advantage in pace. And while we have this little bit of a lull, a good time to remember everybody what we're here for again. We are here for the Team USA Talent Scout event. And with that, of course, we are trying to find a roster of talented individuals to be on the Team USA roster for the Riyadh Olympics in 2027. Now, of course, this is both open categories and women categories available for sign-ups. But on top of that, MOZA is looking for ambassadors. What does that mean, you might ask? And that's a great question. They're looking for people that can represent their product in a very beneficial way. So mutually, of course, beneficial way. We want to help you, and they need help as well, of course. And so getting the word out for MOZA in various ways. Again, message me if you are interested on that. Mike Doss over on Discord. Anybody is capable and anybody is available for it. This, though, is not a great idea, or this is not a great prospect. Good job, though, of staying out of the way, but Joshua Jordan not quite having as much luck as he would like.
And he can finally breathe again. That's the second time tonight we've seen a car parked broadside on the outer loop. Smart of him to actually get on the reverse gear and kind of get out of the tarmac there. And again, we avoid drama for the second time. Jordan Johnson, though, finally coming into pit from the lead. Puebla will be the spearhead for the first time tonight, and this blend is going to be huge.
I love the wheels spinning there. That's great. That's a great touch. Now, either way, Jordan Johnson in. Let's see. Where
Puebla in as well.
Our top three? Puebla in, that makes sense. Absolutely. Mike Piecco in as well. Michael Janney and Xavier Reed. Where are you, folks? There they are. On to the start-finish straight. Brief little kiss of the wall from Michael Janney. Jordan Johnson still parked in pit lane. Has he got going yet? Yes, he has. Back out onto track in the lead of the race. Nicely done. Jordan Johnson, the overcut, paying dividends.
And this actually spreads it out big time as Janney and Reed are diluted big time as well. 2 seconds separating our podium for the time being. And now we start to see a big train of cars come in for McLaren's, Puebla, Magnowski, Piecco, Anderson, as well as Sean Roberts. So the house band battle about to be determined as well, with the Mercedes driver coming in earlier.
And I'm getting word in my ear that Jordan Johnson was 2 seconds faster in the pit lane. And what was that gap again when he came out on the track? Oh yeah, that's right, 2 seconds. Again, that goes to show you, folks, that tenths, they add up into seconds, and they do so quickly. Just 2 seconds. But look at the gap. Jordan Johnson's on cold tires. Janney and Reed are not. And we talked about the iRacing tire model in the new update. They're cold, they're rocks, and they are not up to temperature yet. Jordan Johnson has already lost a second.
Blue flag for Eddie Johnson, who had to turn away and let the boys have at it. And how about this? The move we've been waiting for the past 50 minutes, as now we finally see Eric Halsband at the front, or in front of Adrian Puebla, excuse me, as now this battle heats up big time as Puebla and now Turner's worked his way in the conversation in the orange machine. Side by side going down the hill. Halsband wants to almost make it 3 wide as we work through the toe. McLaren side by side with Puebla on the right. A little bit of a nudge almost from Halsband as we're 3 wide over the hill. Are we going to see a move? Are we going to see maybe Piecco and Loic get involved in this as well? 2 by 2 going into the hill, and going the long way around now goes Adrian Puebla, who somehow holds on to these positions.
I sense a sword of Damocles hanging over the head of all of these drivers right now. This is absolutely on a knife's edge, and at any point in time, that sword can fall. And you know what happens when that happens. Well, not yet, at least. That's the goal. And Eric Halsbad trying to send it 3 wide. My goodness, it is a bold strategy, but he manages to at least send it back 2 wide. Are we going to see that 3 abreast again? It looks like we are. Why not? Down to the 90. Let's go for it. and it's going to be advantage here to the McLaren. Halsbad not able to get by. Wide goes Pieco, I think that is, and Lowe is able to capitalize. Side by side briefly as you get to the S's, though, somebody has to give, and that's going to settle out.
When it's 2x2 racing, Kyle Lowe is able to get a seat at the table, but Pieco tucked right into the back of the NSX with an opportunity to swipe back as the battle for the lead now becomes very much alive. Michael Janney right on the bumper of Jordan Johnson. Can Xander Reed close this gap in just a second further back, or has this become a duel for the lead?
Oh, folks, I hope you got your popcorn before this stream started, because you don't got time at this point. This is the absolute meat and potatoes of this race right now. The top three at each other's throats. Not to mention the fact that these are two teammates at each other's throats, currently trying to battle it out to see who is going to win the MOZA GS V2P GT wheel. And then, of course, the random drawing afterwards. So there's two chances for these drivers, but you only want to take the one. Who is it going to be? There's 1 hour elapsed in this race, 30 minutes left to go. We're getting down to the wire, and Janney is looking like he's going to be testing that wire and trying to hang on by a thread to the outside of Jordan Johnson. Not going for the full commitment, a half-hearted effort, and he backs out at the apex.
Still plenty of racing to go here as we're now officially an hour in with 30 to go, and the battle heats up. Big flick to the inside from Eric Halsbad, tries to get the momentum on Puebla. So much blue flagged cars here that are able to be used as a little bit of a drafting help. Looks like further back, Pieco there is trying to use it as well, but they actually held him up at the apex of turn number 1, so it's been a 3-car breakaway. Low just a little bit further back. So somehow, someway, Puebla at the merge is able to hold on to P5. Turner's currently in fourth now, excuse me, as we see a major reshuffle in the battle for P5.
Yeah, this is so dangerous as well. These drivers are giving it their all, which is exactly what you want to see in such a crucial event. The Team USA Talent Scout event powered by MOZA, of course, and look at this shot. So many cars, all line and stern, 1 hour into this race, and less than a second separating 5 drivers practically. This is what you're here for, folks. Let us know who you're supporting in the chat. We're checking it out. Unfortunately, we don't got the time to shout you out because there's so much action going on. But trust me, folks, we see you, we love you, and we thank each and every one of you for dropping into the Twitch here on Init Esports, hitting that like button, hitting that follow button, and of course, everybody watching on eClutch at home right now. Again, I hope you guys have your popcorn and are enjoying this show because this is what racing is about.
Low further back now, having to fend off from Michael Pieco, as now it is Eric Halsbad a little bit now to himself in the HP machine versus Puebla. A little bit of lap traffic further up the road. Again, another McLaren as we start to break into duels here. 5th and 6th and 7th versus 8th. And now Halsbad, I think, is kind of starting to realize that this is pretty much the way things are going to lie at this point. Are we going to see a move at this point in the race? How aggressive are we going to see Eric Halsbad? Are we going to see a little bit more patience from him now that we've merged out post-pitting? And what can Michael Pieco and Kyle Lowe do to potentially join this conversation once more?
Yeah, a lot of pushing. That's the goal, of course. You just have to stay in it to win it. No pun intended. But you do, at the end of the day. This is, of course, the real, oh my goodness, that chicane nearly taking the McLaren for a ride, and that was a little bit of a scare. Definitely testing the structural fortitude of Mike's racing trousers at this point, but it looks like everything is ship-shape still.
And there should be something to be mentioned here about how much the track has rubbered in at this point. Not only does that make the ideal line faster, shall we say, we can see that with Jordan Johnson getting the purple lap here, 1:43.5, my goodness. But that makes that outside line a little bit more difficult. The advantage now is just teetering a little bit more towards where it's rubbered in so much. So getting experimental here and trying other things becomes more difficult as the track evolves. Saw some flickering a little bit further up ahead. It might be Braun and Turner here with a little bit of connection issues that seem to have stagnated at this point, but definitely not something we want to see anymore.
No, certainly not. The latency, of course, being a little bit of a role. That's unfortunately just sim racing as a whole. But you pay no mind to it. At least you hope you have to pay no mind to it. And we continue on battling. Bronson Turner ahead of Puebla. Houseband right behind. Low in the fight. Pieco in the fight. And this, even though there's a 17-second gap to Magnowski, I think that there's still a chance in the world that he can be in this fight as well. If these guys keep up this trend of absolutely going at each other's throats every 5 seconds, which, let me just clarify, hasn't happened this lap in currently, but it certainly is not out of the cards yet. And speaking of the lap times, they're all pretty much dead even with each other right now. And so the pace setter of Bronson Turner is doing exactly that. He's setting the pace, holding fast, and trying to stay ahead.
So Puebla still at the front of the field as these four are actually closing the gap to Bronson Turner, who really had the ideal strategy here. Another fastest lap here for Jordan Johnson, a 1:43.494. Blue flag there for the number 1 Porsche. I remember the name there. It doesn't matter. It's now a 5-car battle for 5th. Turner, Puebla, Halstan, Lowe, and Pieco.
This, again, folks, is what we are here for. What more could you want in a race besides 5 cars going at it? Well, you might want 8 cars going at it. That's exactly what you got. Our leaders currently in a fight right now, and Bronson Turner, well, yes, he is 47 seconds away. This is a battle nonetheless for, in his mind, what's going to be the lead position that he can get. He is looking at 4th position and saying, look, I'm not going to be able to get to the podium. They are gone unless a miracle happens. If there's a spin, if there's a crash, which is absolutely in the cards considering how hard they've been racing each other. What is going to happen? That's Lewis Holloway. We saw him get into a collision a little bit earlier, and it seems that he has repaired everything back to ship-shape conditions. That Camber and Caster team out there as well. Again, got to meet him. Oh, that's Jesse Laver. My apologies. Again, the Camber and Caster team still on the same livery there. Again, he currently below me. The Camber and Caster guys and gals, very awesome. Got to meet Paige and Nina, a couple screen-to-speed drivers as well the other night, and a couple really cool other people, Jeremy and the work. So shout out to everybody there down from Camber and Caster. Highly recommend checking them out. But back to the action at hand, of course. This is Halsband, who has been absolutely on the ball with his overtake attempts. It looks like he's trying to go back into that trend. Puebla has fended off every single question that's been asked of him so far. The question as well, though, how much longer could he do it for?
I really think we are at the point in the race now where we really see patience win. Wait until the final 10 minutes before you really get your fangs out. Just hold people at bay in terms of pace. If I'm Kyle Lowe with Pieco behind me, I'm just trying to get my head down and try and join this battle. Once again, big wiggle further back there from Pieco as that turn 9 exit continues to be very slippy for these guys. And the battle between Halsband and Puebla continues here with 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes on the clock. Another bit of a look to the inside from Halsband, selling a dummy into the 90-degree right-hander. Not buying.
Front row seat here. We get to go up the S's, and then we get to see what it's like from the back. This is such an intimidating camera angle, especially when you have an AMG or a BMW, or at worst, the Ford Mustang GT3. When that thing is rubbing a hole in your back bumper, it is so intimidating. You see it in your rearview mirror, and you can't not pay attention to it, especially look at that bright McLaren color and the headlights on as well. You can't miss it if you try. Bronson Turner, though, also just want to mention, he's up 3 positions from where he started. So he started back in 7th, to manage to make his way up to 4th, and doing an incredible job still of holding that pace. It has been a long battle for him, but he is keeping on.
Oh, Puebla with some more Wi-Fi issues here as that connection starts to gather itself back up again. But no, big gains for Bronson Turner, who gains those positions in the pit lane, was dead even with his starting position before he came in. And all of a sudden, he's at risk of losing those once again with a McLaren and a Mercedes breathing hard down his neck. As further back, Kyle Lowe losing 8th to Michael Piecco and holding them at bay. Ooh, one of the Porsches around. I thought that was one of our main guys around, and that would have been an absolute heartbreak as it's Gutierrez around.
Yeah, very unfortunate. You absolutely hate to see it. And with that, of course, we'll be catching a replay here very shortly. He moves out of the way and stays out of the way, and so does a good job of it. This is Lowe losing a position here, so we're going to be watching this overtake down towards what looks to be the inner loop, and so this is going to be a dicey one, I would imagine, down to the inside here. No, that was not that dicey. That was very textbook. Lowe actually just says, all right, you go. Yeah, fair enough. So Lowe there, getting overtaken. And Magnowski, now 19 seconds behind, but lower. Piecco, ahead.
Here comes Pueblo looking to the outside. We'll have a car ahead as they go side by side. Pueblo a little bit deep, and so too will Turner. Both of the McLarens carrying too much momentum. A look to the inside from Halsband as we work into the chute. Somehow, some way, this field order remains the same, but the bottom three here of Piecco and Lowe have absolutely now joined this conversation as the front of this field has overdriven big time.
Halsband nearly threw the seed of discourse into that one. That was absolutely savage of a move he tried to make. This is Gutierrez through the penultimate corner, through the third to last corner, and well, you could enter almost any one of the drivers' names that are in the bottom half, and that has happened to them. It is such an easy mistake to make, just lighting those rear tires up, and especially when you're in a Porsche, that rear end starts to overtake the front. Good luck saving it.
And another one, Lewis Holloway, once again. I think this might be the second time we've seen him. And again, this is now the second car that it is right in front of this top four train. So scary stuff for all of these guys. But I mean, we talk about the Porsche, having that flat six sitting on the rear axle, it helps the car pivot, no doubt. But if you're not able to gather it back up, if there's just a little bit of a slide, there's no such thing as a quick catch in that. You need to be on the knowledge of it all the time and be ready for a catch. So a lazy spin coming out of turn 9, if you don't expect it, that's a certified Porsche moment.
Yeah, absolutely. The reaction times need to be inhuman in order for that to really be saved. And taking a look at the lead, wow, take a breath, I guess, right now. This is kind of the most spread that we've seen from our top three, a total of just under 5 seconds separating them. So, you know, still very close, but hey, this is a little bit of breathing room, unlike what we see right here. Puebla is getting impatient, and Bronson Turner is looking like quite a tasty morsel right now, and Puebla wants to take a bite. Question is where, the question is how. He's tried every corner, he's faster in every single corner that doesn't matter, as well as you can see there. Bronson just parking it on the apex and holding his line, and that is going to allow Halsband to potentially get a move himself as the bottleneck continues now, heading towards the braking zone down the chute. Not going to be making a look on this occasion.
Oh, big slow there from Bronson Turner, who's able to gather it back up, but this is the chance Puebla has been waiting for the past 20 minutes and change. We'll look to the inside going out of turn number 9, and somehow Bronson Turner is able to gather it back up. Here comes Halsband to the inside through 10 and can't get it there.
On a knife's edge. My, oh my, such a tight call there. Everybody's still on their best behavior, but that is finally, no, it's not, it's not quite, it was finally a mistake out of Bronson Turner. Not enough, though, for Puebla to capitalize, and he's going to be kicking himself, saying, why couldn't I have used that opportunity to get this done? Why couldn't I have done that then? It doesn't matter. That's the past. You can't think about the past. It's all about the future, and with just about 15 minutes and change left, every lap counts.
Another look to the outside here from Puebla. Are we going to see the same level of aggression from these two, the same level of overdriving? Looks like it won't be. Puebla thinks smarter of it and lifts off. And we'll keep the drama to a minimum as we work our way back down the short chute. Very wide again, though, goes Bronson Turner, as Piecco is absolutely right back in it on the bumper of Halsband.
And this is getting so frustrating for Adrian. The question is when. The Team Simpact Racing, and again, he just is going to be banging his head into a wall over and over and over again, and nothing is working no matter what you try, and Ricky Paz is spun around again. Oh no. This race has gone from bad to worse to even worse for Ricky Paz, and that is going to be a long rejoin while he waits for the cars to come back around him and give him a little clean gap. He is back on track, though, and facing the correct direction. This fight, though, is literally anybody's game right now. I don't think it matters who you are in this fight. Even if you're Kyle Lowe, all the way back 1.5 seconds, you still have a chance to come out on top here and finish in 4th. It's really going to be just who makes the least amount of mistakes right now. And Bronson Turner, well, yes, he hasn't been making too many mistakes yet. They're starting to add up.
Track's getting more rubbered in. Cars are getting lighter. This is the lowest fuel load that they've ran all day. Although the tires might be chipping away here, they're nowhere near the absolute minimums. So we are starting to see these cars get faster, the racing get faster, and tensions are absolutely going to rise. Another potential look from Puebla. We'll try the outside for the 3rd lap in a row, but we'll lift once again. It looks like Turner actually went a little bit wide there. Here's a look to the inside from Hellsbound, but Puebla blocks going to the inside line. Now Hellsbound goes very, very wide, and Pieco will go through.
Yeah, Hellsbound got checked up there, and I almost wonder if that was him maybe letting Mike through to see if he can go. What was that? That looked like contact from Puebla onto Bronson Turner, and now Mike Pieco says, thank you very much. This is going to be the easiest position that I've ever gained in my life, and just like that, big spin as well there from Eric's Hellsbound. He manages to catch it. What a save. Flash of the headlights to acknowledge that, or maybe to send some thank yous and condolences in the other direction, of course.
Code Brown for both Hellsbound and Lowe, as the Acura driver saw him nearly full opposite lock going back over the hill as we watch the replay here. So Puebla with a look to the inside. As it was actually like Puebla backing out of it first. Hellsbound trying to make the most of it and trying the outside. And then Puebla giving the door to the Mercedes driver of Hellsbound. There's the big sliding catch there. And Kyle Lowe actually almost losing control as well as he was trying to avoid it.
Yeah, very, very close there from them. And just by the skin of their teeth managing to sneak through. Puebla now till ahead of, well, no, he's behind Turner now. Or, excuse me, still behind Turner, but Pieco now separating them. Mike able to get unleashed. Is this his chance to find P4? Well, we'll find out eventually because he needs to get really onto the move there. Not on this occasion, though. It's McLaren on McLaren. So equal machinery, one of the most difficult ways to overtake. That's what Puebla has found out.
Great heads-up driving, by the way, from Pieco, who was just able to find the gap in that moment and go for it. 2 positions in a sequence, in a very big sequence of corners. And the overambition from Puebla had kind of blocked these 2, or these 3 further back now, as Puebla, Lowe, and Hellsbound have kind of evolved into a 3-way battle.
Yeah, and continuing to fight on for right now, and moving to the side there is a back marker, so that's not going to play too much of a role, at least you would think. Is it going to, though, Puebla? Let's see how they manage on getting through, as it's going to be in the next couple corners. I would imagine that we're going to see the liftoff and the generosity from the back marker here. Is that? No, that's not Vance. I'm not sure who that is for the AMG there, but currently just letting them on through. I'm assuming it is Edward Sanchez? Yeah, probably.
Correct.
So letting them by without too much issue, and here we go down the start-finish straight. The thing about it is you don't want to let somebody by for free, and you don't have to. Blue flags are not like they are in Formula One. These are GT racing rules. They're merely a suggestion and also just a message to say, hey, don't hold up the faster driver, like we might see here for a brief moment. But I think after these S's, we're going to see the AMG get out of the way.
Hellsbound further back, able to clear Kyle Lowe on a move into turn number 1, so we'll get P7 back. Big crossover there, was waiting for the millisecond that the spotter said clear, and got right back in line to take that optimal route through the bus stop, as the battle of the McLarens for P4 continue going down the chute as Pieko puts the pressure on Turner.
Also, getting word that Eric Halsban maybe cooked his tires with that spin. We know that the tire model has changed and that one spin doesn't make as much of a difference, but of course it adds up. Thought for a moment Mike Pieko was going to commit there to the outside. No way he was going to make that move stick. But 42, of course, being the answer to everything. That is his number after all, and maybe it's the answer to making an overtake in an unovertakeable spot. In this occasion, no.
Kyle Lowe has been kind of struggling here. He was at the tail of this freight train and if it wasn't for the couple of big racing moments, he has kind of struggled to get back in on the action. But again, talking about that prolonged tire wear that Halsban's dealing with now, we know how easy on the tires Kyle is usually, so might be able to get right back in this battle for P7. It'll be very, very interesting with 10 minutes on the clock to see if any of these three can rejoin the conversation, though, for P4.
Yeah, exactly. And hoping they can, and they should be able to by the end of this. Of course, not too far away by any stretch. Not like we see from P4 to P3 with 58 seconds. And those gaps, by the way, for our lead still holding true back to 2.5 seconds, we'll call it, for all three drivers. And still some pace left, but not much time left. That's the thing. We're getting down here to the final 10 minutes. And now is the time to make the overtakes if you can. Mike Pieko, is this the chance on the outer loop on the way down to the boot and shoot complex? It looks like he's starting to sniff out some sort of weaknesses from Bronson Turner, but Bronson, I'm gonna be honest, after this race, if he holds this position, I think it's fair to dub him the 8th wonder of the world in the Great Wall of Turner.
Some phenomenal defense in this entire back half of this race has had everybody in the top 10, except I guess Mignowski and who really, jammed it up the inside and trying to take P4 from him and is not cracked at all. And then we talk about Pieko, who got this golden ticket in the strategy, played it to a T, and has now worked right in this conversation. A little bit of a widen up from both of these as we've got a car around at the apex. I believe that's one of the Corvettes. And turn 9 strikes another car, it would seem. None of these guys affected, though, once again.
No, not just yet. And still some battles as well in the background we haven't mentioned for a good while. I wanted to touch on just a couple here, especially the ones, for example, back in, where is it? Aaron Ramon in the 43 car in 21st, chasing down Zachary Flatt. Lewis Holloway also under threat potentially here at some point. It's about 5 seconds of a gap there to him. So some more three-way fights. We also have Michael Ray Gallant, who could potentially catch up with Matthew Salgado. So many different fights that are on the cards here, and it's really time to start getting the hammer down and getting them done.
Let's start to also give some gold stars to some of our biggest movers of the night. Mario Miranda from 30th to 13th, currently running in P13, so 17 spots gained for him. Jason Wallet up 11 spots, Aaron Ramon up 16. Some really, really good efforts, and we talk about, Miranda coming in at the very, very last minute, joining at the buzzer. Jason Wallet, who was involved in that turn 1 chaos and has gathered it back up, so a lot of guys who should be eaten free in New York tonight.
Absolutely, I couldn't have said it better myself, Jackson. Still, though, Mike Pieko with the weight ahead of him here in the slugger, Bronson Turner. What do you do to overtake this man? And the answer is, I don't know, to be completely honest. It is a challenge and a half that nobody is able to answer. Again, Puebla tried for how many laps? Maybe 15, 25 laps trying to get by Bronson Turner, had zero success. Mike Pieko now in a similar boat, and part of it, of course, could be chalked up to the fact that this is equal machinery. It's McLaren on McLaren on McLaren with an AMG in the mix as well, of course. Can't forget about Halsban, but his tires seem to have done him in for the time being. But this is the most difficult type of battle that you can have because the cars are strong in the same parts of the track and they're weak in the same parts of the track.
Gonna be heartbreak here for Kyle Lowe coming in from P8. We'll have to see where he merges back out. This has been the first weight, though, off of Pieko's soldiers for a while now as we see a look to the outside. I meant to say first weight off Turner's shoulders for a while with Pieko battling Pueblo once again as the Overtaker becomes the defender for the first time in a while. And now the battle for fifth gets spicy once again.
Yeah, very much so. This is one that's not going anywhere, folks, and a big wiggle there to boot. Is this going to be the move finally? We just lock bumpers there. Does Puebla, not the time, not the place, and not the time to end your race. Try again. Where do you go for it, though? I don't know, Jackson. The boot and the shoot seems to be the best opportunity, but it really is tough. The 90, not really the best place. The S is obviously not the best place. And the inner loop, well, we've talked about it time and time again, just not quite the best place itself. So many chances gone away, and only a few remaining, Jackson. Where do you do it?
What I love about this course, Mike, is the ability for you to run, you know, inside outside line pretty much the entire track once you get by the bus stop. It really allows you to get kind of crazy with how you overtake and defend and kind of stick your car where the sun doesn't shine. So if you're able to moment, Pieko's around. Oh my goodness, big lick coming out of turn one, and it's heartbreak for the man who got the golden ticket in the pit stop. Oh my goodness, the 42.
Oh, the devastation for him. Immediate return to garage. So much hard work put forth. Was there contact is what I'm asking myself, and I don't know the answer to it. We were a little too far back. We're absolutely going to be checking that replay very, very shortly, folks. That is not how anybody wanted this battle to end. Certainly for Mike Pieko especially. Hats off to him again. That is This Dad's Bad on Twitch. And unfortunately, I don't want to say he lived up to his name, but hey, you absolutely hate to see it. Feel for you, Mike. Here's what happened, Jackson. Talk us through it.
Turn one, always difficult with the downhill, asking so much from the front tires, trying to keep it from locking up. You can use all of this runoff. Let's see, I think it just started with getting on the throttle a little bit too early with how low the ride height is. That 720 is essentially board sliding on the curbing coming out of turn number one, and just overcorrected there, trying to gather it back up. And unfortunately, day done there for Michael Pieko.
Day done in the dying embers. That is the absolute biggest kick in the teeth I think we've seen so far for the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by MOZA. And not how you wanted it to end either. So for Mike, again, hats off to you, brother. But this race is not done yet. We still got battles to talk about. Our leader, Jordan Johnson, ahead of Janney, ahead of Xavier Reed, ahead of Bronson Turner, and Puebla trying to change that trend.
You know something? That's the first of the top 10 we've actually seen retire. We haven't seen a lot of these battles end in drama, end in heartbreak. I can only really think of one, and that was way deeper in the field. And this was a self-induced incident. So again, I think that's where we need to absolutely give our flowers to this field and the quality of the driving from these guys. And I really, really hope the commentator's curse doesn't strike, because what a battle it's been so far between these two McLarens right here, Bronson Turner and Adrian Puebla. Can we see Turner hold off to be the best of the rest, or are we going to see Adrian Puebla finally get this spot after itching for it for the past 45 minutes?
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Oh my goodness, Adrian Puebla. Holy smokes, count your lucky stars and also wrestle an octopus for good measure. That was a heck of a save, and almost ending in a similar way to Mike.
Commentator's curse almost struck there. That was just a warning, obviously, for Adrian, as Jordan Johnson about to see the white flag here at Watkins Glen, has had the front of the field, the overcut absolutely worked to a T, and he has not looked back since he regained the control of this field.
Looking back to the entire field, though. Jordan Johnson, he's got a great view. Well, not really. He actually can't see many people, can he? It has been a textbook performance, and it looks like, barring any chaos, any calamity, and any carnage here from probably a backmarker or himself, but at this stage, it seems that he has managed to do it, and the winner of the MOZA GSV2P wheel is going to be this man on your screen, Jordan Johnson. White flag is out, folks. We have our parade lap left to go, and the Apex Racing team just has to cruise home to victory. 4 seconds to Janny.
Very, very interesting. I love the minute we say that. We still see a little bit of a wiggle here from Jordan Johnson and that little bit of a Code Brown moment, but very interesting to see this podium dilute after the pit cycle. I don't know if it was really that much of a difference. It started actually with Xander Reed, who was kind of the first to drop back, and then I don't know if Michael Janney really justified fighting his teammate for the front of this field. But if Jordan Johnson can keep it clean for 5 more corners, he's walking home with a brand new MOZA sim wheel.
Yeah, very talented driver here behind the wheel. Jordan Johnson, folks, your pole sitter, but that does not tell the whole story by any stretch of the imagination. He did not lead every single lap. No, he did not. Michael Janney also led Xavier Reed, but my goodness, this man has led the most laps. Jordan Johnson in the number 12 McLaren for the Apex Racing team, and now coming into the home stretch, the boot and shoot complex. He just has a few more corners to negotiate before the title is his, before the gold is his, and the checkered flag will be awaiting him in bated breath. Just a couple more corners left to go. That's the corner that everybody has had issues on. No issues for Jordan Johnson on this occasion. 1 corner left to go through the final. Jordan Johnson and the Apex Racing team going to be crossing the line and taking the victory for the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by MOZA Race 3. Jordan Johnson, take a bow.
We talk about the ability to not crack under pressure, and Jordan Johnson gave us a masterclass on that. 2 hard-charging Ford Mustangs for 45 minutes straight. Had clean air for the first time after the pit stop, and used it to his absolute advantage, and eventually got it to the point where the competition died off, and then in the quiet second stage of this race, absolutely ran away with it. So major shout out to Jordan Johnson, an incredible drive, as the best of the rest battle is still very much on. Are we going to see a Hail Mary here from Adrian Puebla? Runs it to the outside, carries all that momentum coming into turn 9. Are we going to see a last minute change here?
We very well may. Just a couple more corners left to go. Puebla, I think, though, has given it all they've got. The rubber that they have has been laid down on the tarmac, and there is not much left. We're down to the wires here for them, quite literally, and down to the metal. It's not enough. Bronson Turner will hold on to P4, and Adrian Puebla will take home 5th. But my goodness, what a battle. What a show these 5 drivers managed to put on from P4 back to P9.
I feel like we haven't seen Jacob Magnowski all night, but that should tell you the level of consistency he had. He saved his 1 mistake of the night for the final corner, and with half a tire down in the front left, Magnowski's gonna limp home in P7. Oh my goodness.
Welcome back, folks. What a race, what a championship, and what a way to finish. I'm almost at a loss for words, to be completely honest. Jordan Johnson just not walking away with this race. That is not, again, how to describe this. Really showing that he is the victor tonight. He had to work hard for this. This was not as simple as driving from point A to point A. He had to work, and seeing, again, the camaraderie between him and Michael Janney with the Apex Racing team, of course, working together with heavy air quotes around that, and Xavier Reed also working together. Wasn't really much of that, though, Jackson. It was a bit of bump drafting, and everybody was out for themselves, which is exactly what you want in a motor race.
No, I mean, Fang's out driving no matter where you looked in the field tonight. And the great thing about what we've always seen at the Scout events, this has been one of the longest events we've ran so far this season. Had a whole notepad here if I needed to have any filler here and fill you guys in. But we just had action this entire night, so throw it away. Genuinely no need. A great show from everybody here in the field. And again, no matter where you look, Jordan Johnson fending off some very, very aggressive drivers in Janny and Reed. Bronson Turner, given the golden ticket there and getting up into P4 to be the best of the rest. And then some hard recovery drives here from Mario Miranda and Jason Wallet. Some great stories regardless from where you look. Let's walk through the starting order or the finishing order here.
The story is told, but my goodness, was an exciting one. Jordan Johnson, your race victor for tonight, and Michael Janney finishing behind by 4 seconds. Xavier Reed, 8 seconds behind the leader with Bronson Turner in 4th. Adrian Puebla taking home 5th with Eric Halsband in 6th. Jacob Magnowski, 7th place with Kyle Lowe behind in 8th. Matt Hugh taking home 9th, and rounding out your top 10, Morgan Stringer.
John Roberts, P11, great recovery from that battered and bruised Mustang. Mario Melendez, plus 18 positions. Take a bow, good sir. Steven Anderson in 13th. Corey A. Clark in 14th. Jason Wallet, another good recovery drive for the Drexel driver in P15. Jacob Dick, P16 for Ball State. P16, Jesse Leverin. 18th is Lewis Holloway. 19th, Zachary Flatt. And 20th, Aaron Ramon.
We got Vance down in P21 with Mike Piecco with a consolidation 22nd after spinning there on the few final laps. Michael Ray Gallen taking home 23rd with Matthew Salgado down in 24th. Mark Lurick in 25th with Ricky Paz, an unfortunate 26th for our previous Indy 250 winner. Brian Morris 27th with Nalberto Alvarez Jr. in 28th. Daniel Martinsky in 29th. Chad Fry 30th. Adrian Gutierrez 31st. We have Edward Sanchez in 32nd. Joshua Jordan in 33rd. Leonardo Oliveira in 34th. Joe Harkins in 35th. 36th to Greg Stoll. 37th to Agris Meha. Aaron Brown in 38th. And last but not least, Levi Pullen. And that, folks, is going to do it. That is the Team USA Talent Scout event, but no, wait, hold on, folks. We're not done yet. We are not done yet by any stretch. We have a giveaway. Of course we do, folks, and we are going to be doing that right now. The winner of this giveaway, by the way, is going to be winning a MOZA KS wheel. On top of that, we will be giving out some MOZA points as well. We're not going to be doing that on stream. That will be done afterwards, as there's quite a few different giveaways, but we will be reaching out to you if you are the winner of that. But we will be seeing live who's going to be winning the big kahuna, the KS. Let's head on over and let's do the drawing, shall we? Let's see who it's gonna be. The wheel is on screen and we are going to spin it. All of the drivers that participated in this event are going to be on there, and the winner of the MOZA KS is going to be Aaron Ramon. Congratulations, Aaron. Reach out to me on Discord, please. Head on over, message Mike Noss on Discord, and we will get you set up and get your information and get that MOZA KS wheel sent out to you. Congratulations, Aaron Ramon. That is a hefty prize. Where did he finish? Aaron finished, by the way, in 20th.
So we talk about a guy that's deserving of that. Absolutely, Aaron Ramon, 17 positions gained, just one off from the 18, the biggest mover of Miranda, a little bit further back in the field, but definitely a drive reserving of a reward. So take a bow, Aaron Ramon. You're walking home with a brand new wheel.
Absolutely, folks. And with that, again, I'll just reiterate, we are going to be giving away 3 iterations of 200 MOZA points, and again, that's going to be $40 off for various MOZA products. And then on top of that, we are going to be giving away 3 iterations of 100 MOZA points. So again, we're not going to be doing all those spins on stream here. We have it all set up. You're just going to, you have to take our word for it. We're not going to be obviously cheating it somewhere. We will get that done. We'll get those winners sent out, and we will let you know through the night or into tomorrow, of course. But with that, folks, I think that's going to do it. Before, of course, we wrap up, Jackson, and I send it over for, or actually, you know what, Jackson, is there anybody or anything that you would like to say before we do roll on out? We're going to be, of course, getting interviews here as well.
So a couple of green room guys waiting for us. I mean, top level esports at its finest here for iRacing. A fantastic show here at Watkins Glen. And again, with a handful of events here to go for the remainder of the scout season, very, very excited to see who else we're going to see here.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you find folks at home are interested and want to sign up for the future races, why don't I talk us through the calendar real quick as we get those interviews ready. Of course, we've already tackled Sebring, we've already tackled Indy, and now Watkins Glen is done, dusted, over, and we have our victor. We'll be hearing from him very shortly. Next up, Portland International Speedways, PIR, folks, in F4. That's going to be August 30th. Bristol Under the Lights in the NASCAR on the September 20th. October 11th for Road Atlanta for the GT3s. Yep, we're going back to GT3s, folks. And then Laguna 45 in the GR86s. That's December 6th. You can find this at initesports.gg/carsim if you are watching at home. And if you are watching in the Twitch chat, you can find the link posted right now. You definitely don't want to miss these events, as of course, again, we have winners we have winners prizes, and we have random prizes, and we have MOZA points. There is something for everybody here to win, and we want you to be a part of it. So sign up, get involved with the Team USA Talent Scout event powered by MOZA, and of course, a massive thank you to eClutch for hosting us on their platform here, as well as, of course, MOZA for making everything possible. And a big thank you to everyone that's hit the follow button as well tonight. I see we've had so many different followers. Too many, I can't go through the list, but you know who you are. We absolutely appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for the raids as well. I think we are getting ready, though. The interviews are in Jackson, and I think you have had some time to catch up with our third place finisher. Why don't you talk us through it?
Let's get it started. Xander Reed, your third place finisher here in the 77 Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Xander, it was lockstep for the first half here and was the first to drop away there after the pit cycle. What starts to come to the mind here after Watkins?
Yeah, it was an interesting race. Had a couple of unlucky moments in traffic, but just didn't really have the pace that I needed to have. Mainly consistency, but other than that, it was an okay race. Just needed a little more prep.
Anything you would have done differently on track tonight to try and bring the fight better to Michael and Jordan?
I just mainly needed to be a little bit more consistent in a couple sectors, and I think if I would have done that, I would have been much closer. But live and you learn.
Still plenty of racing to go here for the Team USA scouting events here in 2025. Any chance we'll see you back here for the remainder of the year?
Maybe. I think I might do the F4.
I'll tell you what, Xander, with how much of a show you and the rest of the guys put on, we'd love to see you back, but a fantastic drive for you. Any shout outs you'd like to make here before we let you loose?
I just want to thank everyone at Twanda Esports for all the work that they do for us and everything they do.
P3 finisher Xander Reed, as we thank you for coming by, and I believe we have our race winner, Jordan Johnson, standing by as well. Actually, we will go over to second place here with Michael Janney in the fellow Apex Racing team Ford Mustang. We'll give that over to Mike here for this interview.
Yes, indeed. Michael Janney. First off, let's get you on screen here. And then once we do, there he is, the P2 finisher, the Apex Racing team driver that came up as the first loser tonight. Michael Janney, that's not to take away anything from your performance. Let me just be clear. That was an absolute barnstormer. It was so entertaining to watch. Why don't you talk us through your race here tonight with your P2 finish?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, congrats to Jordan. He drove a great race, put it pole. It was so hard to get past him in that first stint, and I think a bit of the teamwork with Xander is kind of how we made that possible. Yeah, it's really tough. It kind of led itself up, I think, to the pit stop, because Jordan was able to save a lot more fuel and just get that huge gap. Unfortunately, I kind of blundered because I thought that 4 tires was too long for 70 liters, which is what I refueled, and I only took left sides. So about 3 or 4 laps in, I was like, wow, I can't turn left. So yeah, it was a bit of a damage mitigation race at that point. I was hoping that maybe when I caught up to Jordan after the stop, I could muscle past him and then just park it, but yeah, I couldn't. So he drove a great race. It was really fun. not much else to
Now
say.
let's talk about, I want to talk about those battles for one, because that was the absolute highlight. Watching the three of you go through the corners, literally bumper to bumper to bumper, everybody making the same apexes, everybody clipping it. What is going through your mind at that time? I mean, is it a decision-making process? Are you feeling the weaknesses out? Is it scary? I mean, what exactly are you thinking when you're in that situation?
Yeah, so I think it starts with like when you're trying to, conceive the idea of how to make the overtake. There were a few corners where I noticed Jordan was maybe a little bit looser, a little bit weaker on the exit, in particular the toe. And so I was like, this is where the opportunity happens. So in the moment, I'm thinking more or less of like reaction to what he's doing, but also kind of feeling out how he's going to drive it. So if he's going to bang doors and be super aggressive, then that's how I'm going to retaliate, right? But if he's respectful, like I think all were, it's, we'll give each other the benefit of the doubt, be safe, but also be pretty aggressive. So there are a few moments where you're like, oh God, I don't want to hit him. But then there are other moments where you're like, all right, you doored me on the last straight, so let's, I'll one up you in the corner, stuff like that. So it's
Race others as you want to be raced.
yeah, pretty much. And I think we left enough room for safety, but also got the elbows out a little bit, so it was quite fun. But yeah, it's really cool.
It was certainly entertaining to watch from the booth. I can confirm Jackson and I were on the edge of our seats the whole time. Now, Michael, before we do move on here and of course speak to our race winner, Jordan, is there anybody that you would like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, so I got made aware of the opportunity by Steffi reaching out to Leonie, so it was pretty cool to hear about this. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. I guess it's neat to maybe see esports, at the level that we're talking. So yeah, just really cool. Thanks for the invite, and then of course thanks to Kawanda and everybody who's supported me this far.
Absolutely love to see it, everybody. Michael Janicki, take a bow still with your P2, and congratulations on the second place. But thank you very much for participating, and have a great rest of your evening.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Now, folks,
P2 finisher.
last but certainly not least, up next, our winner of the MOZA KS wheel, Jordan Johnson. He's going to be on the way here. We'll be hearing from him very, very shortly, and I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a smile on this man's face. At least I certainly hope so. There he is, Jordan Johnson, our race victor, and again, the winner of the MOZA KS wheel. Jordan, how does it feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Third time's a charm, I guess, after the bad luck in Sebring and the mistakes in Indy. So happy to finally be here on good terms and not be disappointed. But yeah, what a race. That first stint was absolutely stressful as all could be. I really don't have much words because I was running everything I could, and Michael and Xander, they were really pushing me for everything. I have an immense amount of respect for Michael, having previously worked in the same team as him. So nothing but love for those guys, and they really pushed it all the way to the end.
I wanted to talk briefly about when you guys were battling and locking bumpers with each other down the straight in order. Obviously you were the one that was trying to be overtaken in that situation, but when you saw Michael and Xander lock up and trying to push each other by, what was going through your head at that time?
Yeah, at this level, it's kind of be expected. Once you see two teammates working together, I literally said to my spotter who was helping me out, Athena Leclerc, she was great throughout the race, helping me navigate the lot traffic and kind of giving updates on what everyone else was doing so I could just focus on the road ahead. But yeah, I even said right at the start of the race, I'm just like, all right, well, we have an uphill battle. Even starting on pole, having two cars is such an advantage, especially in GT3 with how close it is. If you can kind of keep your bumpers locked, it's so hard to do anything. And once you fall behind, you're getting double dirty air and not any benefit on the draft of the car in front. It's so hard to deal with. So, the whole goal was to never fall behind, and unfortunately we did fall behind early on, but we're able to recover it through the pit cycle, and really from there just kind of try to full push ahead and try to run away best I could.
Absolutely. It was certainly an entertaining one from the booth. Now, Jackson, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
I'll say this. The ability when Mike and I talk about kind of what separates your, black belt drivers here in iRacing or sim racing as a whole, it's the ability to kind of go for 45 minutes straight with guys breathing down your neck and not crack. Walk me through the mental approach there at the start of the race, and then kind of the ability for you to go and recover.
Yeah, I mean, early on, it was really just about holding in front with the dirty air. I knew that I would survive the cold tires as long as I made it to the bus stop first. And the McLaren had proved to be pretty good so far in all of my testing, and just making sure I had a good gap behind. Straight line was just kind of really what I needed, and it really pulled away in the medium speed. So really just kind of leaning on what the car had to offer, make no mistakes. And then I tried to start switching into a little bit of tire saving after probably about the first couple 10 or so laps, try to make sure that I kind of got a margin on the Mustangs. But that's when they started really mounting the pressure. And unfortunately, I did finally make a mistake kind of running the rear a little too hard, I believe up in turn 7. And that's when Michael kind of started showing his nose really aggressively. And it's really just about eliminating those mistakes, because of the fact that, I mean, at the end of the day, we're really playing a game of losing the least amount of time rather than making up time on each other. We're driving so close to the limit of these cars for so long that all it takes is one mistake for 1-2 tenths, and it's doing everything you can to eliminate that.
And on that, of course, Jordan, is there anybody that we would like to thank before we move on here tonight?
Yeah, of course, Apex Racing team, they've been absolutely amazing for me, especially me coming from a GTP driver, and my teammates helping me out to this GT3 transition and making sure I was the strongest possible. I think I really wouldn't have had any chance with these guys and the level of competition if it wasn't for my teammates being able to help me out. Of course, Stormforce Gaming, Computer PC Systems, SDK, and VRS, they're able to support us through Apex and make sure everything is as crisp and proper as it should be, and just making sure that we're able to kind of focus on driving and nothing else. So I can't help but thank them enough.
Amazing. Now, lastly on the lastly part, you're the winner of a KS wheel. What does that mean? The MOZA KS wheel you're going to be taking home here. It's quite the prize. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it feels fantastic. I mean, I've been running MOZA pretty much my entire time on iRacing, so I mean, it only sweetens the deal having been able to work within their ecosystem the entire time, and then, you know, of course, I get to see a little bit of the rewards from it, so it really feels good.
Amazing. Jordan Johnson, everybody. Jordan, enjoy the champagne here tonight, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that's going to do it. That is the race done, dusted, the prizes given, the awards have been crowned, and the winner has spoken. Jackson, is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap this one up here tonight?
Huge thanks to everybody, regardless of what corner of the earth you're watching, for tuning in. And honestly, we hope you had as much fun watching as me and Mike did calling it. That was genuinely some of the best GT3 racing I've seen on this platform. And again, we kind of saw the level of respect that all of these guys have for each other in these interviews, whether they're teammates or not. So all this does is amp me up here to really carry on here next month when we roll on to Portland, and I hope it does the same for everyone in chat.
Certainly does for me, and I just want to take a moment to thank everybody that makes these events possible. First off, I want to thank Cameron Castor and Jesse Laverin, one of the drivers, finished in 17th, for allowing me to have this lovely space. No, this is not a green screen, folks. This is an actual wall, I promise. So it is amazing. Yeah, exactly. It is a really cool setup. So thank you very much, Jesse, for inviting me down here to Cameron Castor. Big shout out to those guys. Of course, massive shout out to MOZA for providing the product, providing the entries, and providing everything here for the Team USA event. Of course, our partners as well over at Trackalicious for our community partner, and everybody else that makes this possible. Thank you very much as well to the TV, of course, that we are on with Race Clutch or eClutch over on the Europes. And on that, folks, I think that's everything. Of course, AK Esports UK with Tom Bryant behind the scenes, our producer. Massive thank you for Tom. It is stupid late for him right now, and he is doing an incredible job of it. Thank you to iRacing as well for providing such an amazing sim that we race on. And with that, folks, we're going to call it. I hope absolutely everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.